welcome, my dear, because they're my listeners, right? My dear listeners, to
Yeah,
a very, very special episode to our beautiful Coast to Coast podcast. I'm here joined by my not so beautiful co-host, Anthony,
that's me. I'm
and
the not so. Oh, I thought I was
I,
the not so
I, I was
beautiful
actually
one.
going to say you look fantastic with the haircut, but
Oh, thank you, thank you.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, name your barber.
and yeah,
Yeah, W Barber. I'll give him a
congrats
shout
to the
out.
barber.
If you're in the Wichita, Kansas area, go hit up Art at Clipperheads. He's goaded.
There you go. Shout out.
You heard it, boy.
You're welcome.
We see the work right here.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
homeboy.
And before we get to today's special episode, because I'm conducting it for once, right? But before we get to that, how you guys doing? How's your week going?
Relatively quiet for me. For the most part, just chilling, hanging out. Caught a couple movies this week, which is really cool. The movie season's starting to heat up now. We're getting some larger releases and whatnot leading up into the summer. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And, on that note, I guess, quick shout out to our other show Jacob and I started. It's called Act 4. It's going to be available on this channel as well. We already have 2 episodes up where we're just going to be talking movies, reviewing movies that come out, whenever we want to do it, really. It's just by our own demand. So if you're interested in more of our movie takes and discussions and whatnot about that, check it out. The link will be in the description for that specific playlist, as well as just click on the channel as well if you're interested in that, and of course subscribe and whatnot. Yeah.
I haven't really got much going on. I'm finally out of training. I'm a new job, so that's goaded.
Nice.
It's a huge weight off my shoulders. I have a lot less stress. My local grocery store had rib roast on sale for $9 a pound, which, if you're not familiar, that's just a bunch of ribeyes connected. Like, they're just ribeyes that haven't been cut yet. So I was able to get 6 ribeyes, like 6 full pound ribeyes for only $60, which is extreme value. I mean, if you're familiar with ribeye costs, they're typically around $17-18 a pound. So being able to get some ribeyes on sale is pretty nice. That kind of made my day. I made butter for
Nice.
the first time today.
Nice.
Homemade butter.
Wow.
Some I know it's really really
We
fucking
got
easy.
Gordon Ramsay in the pod. Let's go.
Butter is like
Fuck
the
yeah.
most simple thing you can ever make. I'm not lying. You just get heavy cream in a food processor or a blender, and then you leave it for 10 minutes, and then you come back and boom, you squeeze it, butter. And buttermilk, for that matter.
Interesting.
That's huge.
So,
Who pays for butter, right?
yeah.
I know.
So I got homemade butter, got homemade buttermilk. Gonna make some homemade pancakes from scratch tomorrow. It's gonna be lit.
Did I have the opportunity to talk in the show about my autograph session with the Panthers players, or was
No.
it just in the DMs?
No, yeah, just in
No,
DMs.
because
So
because I fell asleep last week. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so let's hear it. Let's hear your story, your
yeah,
awesome story.
Yeah, so I got the
It's okay. He
opportunity-
needed his beauty sleep.
Dude, I was tired. I was dead last week. So I had the opportunity to go to an autograph session. Shout out to Palm Beach Autographs. They always have players and actors, for that matter, and musicians come over, have autographs signings, and they often have Panthers players just because it's so close, and a lot of people are invested in the team and whatnot. The
Dude, if
latest-
Brad Pitt ever makes his way there, let me know.
I'm looking at Brad Pitt right now. Brad Pitt's right there.
Oh shit.
In the corner of my screen. Anyway,
That's crazy.
we had Carter Verhaeghe, known franchise spiller, Evan Rodriguez, and Jonah Gadjovich. I got to talk to each of them a little bit. It was fantastic. I got their autographs. Palm Beach Autographs were selling this red box right there, right? And that red box is a mystery box that comes.
You haven't
with-
opened it yet?
I've opened it. That was the picture that I sent. It comes with an autographed jersey, an autographed puck, a random autographed jersey, current or former Florida Panther.
It would have been so much funnier if it was a Lightning player.
No, it's just Panthers. Former, current autographed puck, and then photo. So I got a Sam Bennett jersey. That's the one I framed, and I'm putting up on the wall. You might notice that this wall is empty, and I had the Corinthians shirt hanged up right there, and it's right. That's the poster right there. So here's what I'm doing. Right, I'm a collectionist. I've said this multiple times, and now I'm collecting signed jerseys. So now here's the game plan. Right, I'm going back to Palm Beach Autographs this weekend, and I'm gonna grab a Miami Dolphins mystery box that comes with a Miami Dolphins signed jersey. I bought the frames. I bought an extra frame to replace this one to match the frame for the Bennett jersey. Soon enough, for next episode, we're gonna have 3 autographed jerseys behind me here. I think it's gonna look beautiful. And
Vitor's out here
I-
buying
Oh, yeah.
IRL loot boxes. It's awesome.
and it's so worth it, dude. Like for this one, it's $200. It comes with the autographed jersey, autographed book, and autographed photo. And for the Dolphins one, is $100 for the autographed
Wow.
jersey.
Wow.
Current or former player. So I super
Dan
worth
Marino?
It can't be Dan Marino. You know, I'm not sure if it's a good investment for the store owner to put Dan Marino in the box.
Yeah, well, it's like a lottery, right? You know, you can't have all of them
Yeah,
be Skylar
but here's
Thompson.
the thing. But here's the thing. I got a
Right,
Sam
like
Reinhart.
one time you get Dan Marino, and then the other you get Tua. So you win some, you lose some.
A 2 autograph would sell for a lot. I would take a 201 for sure. Bennett autograph would go for a lot. The jersey that I got, the Sam Reinhart photo that I got would also go for a lot. I mean, he scored the Stanley Cup winning goal. Once I have everything ready, I can show you guys once it's nice and neat. And this flag, I intended moving it up there. I'm gonna fold it and put it up there. And I want to get a Heat and Marlins signed jersey as well, because then I can fit 3 on this wall and 2 on this wall, so then 5 total.
You know who else hit a Game 7 winner goal in the NHL? Who is my favorite hockey player ever?
Crosby.
Who am I talking about?
The kid.
What? No, that's not my favorite hockey
I
player.
thought the kid was your favorite hockey player.
No, he's my second or third. I mean, it's between him and Marc-Andre Fleury for second or third. But my number one go-to favorite hockey player is Mr. Chris Kunitz, bro. I'm a Chris Kunitz diehard.
I hear you.
He's been retired for a few
The-
years now, but when he played, he was my go.
Scored a cup winner. That's awesome.
Well, it wasn't a cup winner. It was a double overtime Game 7 winner in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Oh, ACF. Okay.
But yeah, it was double overtime. It was goated.
Nice.
Chris Kunitz he's my boy.
And quickly, just talking about NHL playoffs start this weekend. We have Battle of Florida and the Battle of Ontario in the eastern side of things, so I'm obviously excited. A little bit scared that we get Tampa this early, but they should be scared of us, if anything, right? Panthers in 4. Not actually. In 5, 6, I think.
Dude, you want to know something? And viewers out there, if you watch sports, you need to appreciate every single postseason appearance that your team has. Because I was a Penguins fan and I'm a Penguins fan and a Royals fan. And you know what I wish I appreciated more? My 2010s decade. Yeah. Dude, because I've said this before, I'm a spoiled guy. I have the Final Four appearance with Wichita State in 2013. I had an undefeated season from them in regular season. 33-0 was their record before they lost a game in the March Madness in 2014. In 2014, I had the Game 7 loss to the San Francisco Giants on a Pablo Sandoval catch on right by third base. Fuck me, Mike Moustakas. Oh, no, Salvador Perez. Sorry,
Yes.
Salvador Perez popped out. And then we won the World Series in 2015. I had 3 Stanley Cup wins for the Penguins in that decade, as well as one in 2009, I think. I had the Saints win the Super Bowl in 2009-10, which I wasn't really a football fan then. But regardless, I have had it very lucky, and it kind of made me not appreciate how awesome that stretch was. So,
Sounds a little
sports
bit-
fans out there,
Sounds a little bit like
Yeah.
a young bandwagon, if you ask me. Pittsburgh
Wow.
Penguins? I mean, come on.
so I have explanations. The Saints is definitely a bandwagon.
Drew Brees.
That was the Drew Brees bandwagon. I love Drew Brees, and he's my favorite NFL player. So I obviously was a Saints fan. The Royals, they're my local team. My dad's a Royals fan. It makes sense. That one I don't need to justify.
Correct.
The Shockers, also a local team, don't need to justify that. The Penguins are my favorite animal. That's why I chose the Pittsburgh Penguins. Granted,
So you
it
should be
helped
a
that they were
Dolphins
also-
fan. Join the Waddle fan club.
Ooh.
No.
Well, we'll see.
No,
if he
get
takes
Waddle
Shedeur
on-
Sanders,
yeah.
right?
Hey, I
Yeah.
could be joining the Miami Blue. I mean, I got it on me, Miami Blue.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Who knows? I might have to get a Jalen Waddle jersey.
I have one, and it's absolutely beautiful. Shout out Jalen Waddle,
And
big fan.
then Thunder are local, so it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's not a bandwagon, even though they had KD, James Harden, Russell Westbrook. I'm
I
forgetting
have
another
a I
legend, Paul
have
George.
a I have a KD take that when I say it, people don't like it. So
He's the most overrated player in NBA history.
I say sports history, let alone
Imagine,
NBA. But
imagine being a ring chaser and failing to get the ring every time.
I'm gonna one up you on the bold take. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most overrated player in sports history. People
You
say most talented quarterback ever. People say top 5 quarterback of all time. This guy has one ring.
um, I I hear you, but KD is more overrated.
That's when
KD
you
is more
start getting
overrated.
into the team versus player argument, though, especially with football, right? Because
Yeah,
like
with basketball,
he's also won 4 MVP awards. You know what I mean? Like even into his mid to late 30s, he was like the best quarterback in the league.
they have similar issues. They have similar issues. They're both weak leaders.
We're both talking about Hall of Famers here, so
No, yes, we are, but I don't want to talk about KD too much. I already talked about it with my friends for way too long today because of the same take. I'm sure not a lot of people like it, but when you think of KD and when you compare him to where he should be in all time, people often compare him to players like the Dream, often compare him to players like Kobe. Like, we have to stop doing that. KD is not to that level. He's a phenomenal scorer. He has an argument for being a top 5 scorer in the history of the sport. But the game is so much more than being a pure scorer. And mentality is such an immense part of basketball. And KD, when it comes to legends of the game, he probably has one of the weakest mentalities for an all-star, like Hall of Famer, like ever. Before I get started, shout out Mina Kimes. This is where I got this idea from. I don't want to pretend like it's my idea. So basically, how this works is I'm gonna be conducting the draft. You guys are gonna be discussing. So basically how this works is for every single pick, I'm going to be giving you guys two options. It can either be two players or a player and the trade offer, right?
Okay.
And then you guys are going to discuss between the two of you if you guys would like to take the trade or the player. And then if you guys come to a consensus, then we're gonna go ahead and do that. If you guys don't agree, then you guys are gonna try and convince me what's the best, and then I'll have the final say.
Sounds great.
okay. And this is not. This has nothing to do with predicting pick, right?
Uh,
It's about how we feel about the players and
it's
whatever.
about how yeah, exactly. It just kind of depends on what I give you, really, and
Yeah.
what I give you is gonna depends on what I feel. I have nothing planned. I'm gonna be coming up with these on the
Okay.
spot.
Okay.
I thought, because I thought about making it ahead of time, but then it's gonna depend on who you guys pick. Some players are not gonna be available in certain spots. Some trades are not gonna. Some
Right.
trades will go down, and everything is gonna be affected. And also, I think it's more organic if I do it on the spot as well. So
Okay.
yeah. The one caveat that I will introduce here is that I think I'm not going to give you guys an option for the first pick because I don't think it makes sense to give you an option for the first pick because the first pick is kind of already locked in.
But Jake,
Um,
but
I mean,
if we're if we're going based off of how we want,
Abdul Carter.
well, I don't know if I agree with that. See, we have a little bit of a debate here, and also
I already
would
have a
trade
scenario
down.
planned out. I already have a scenario planned out.
I
Don't get
also
me
think
wrong.
Jacob might I think he would most definitely prefer a trade back as well for the Titans. So I think it's worth talking about at least, even if it's
Okay.
wrapped up. We're gonna definitely debate it.
I
think.
don't mind. I already have it written down here. I just gotta go ahead and tell you guys. So with that being said, let's get this draft underway. So your options for the Tennessee Titans is either you go Cam Ward at the 1-1, or you trade back with the New York Giants. Okay, and you guys get a pick swap, 1 and 3. The Giants give you 34, the second next year, and Russell Wilson, and you give back 103, and like something like this,
And we get Russell Wilson, is what you said.
and you get Russell Wilson.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
But if you get Russell Wilson, then maybe we can remove the second next year.
No, absolutely not. If you're giving
It's
a
still the
third
first
here,
overall
I need
pick.
the first round as well. I need the first round pick next year if I'm getting or if I'm giving a third.
Okay, but hold on. Then we have to discuss the actual trade because I'm not gonna do that. The Giants will not offer you this.
Well, okay, Vitor, what is your offer? If you were the
my
Giants,
trade
what
off,
is
my
your
offer, my offer is the pick swap, 34 for the 103 and the fourth next year, and I give you the second and Russell Wilson. The second next year and Russell Wilson.
Okay. So
So
that's
two
option
seconds,
one.
second this year, yeah, and then the other option is just Cam Ward.
Okay.
Now, the PFF simulator does not have Russell Wilson with the Giants, so I cannot send you Russell Wilson here. But yeah,
That's
pretend
fine.
Tommy DeVito
Yeah.
is Russell Wilson.
Implied.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Very
This is
safe.
a horrible trade. I'm not taking it.
Yeah, I'm not taking
This
the trade
isn't enough
either.
value.
It's very, very safely Cam Ward with the first overall pick here. I'm partially with Jacob here. The first overall pick, even if you're going back 2 spots, you have to think about the value that the first overall pick holds for the rest of the draft as well, and for every other team, and thinking about the potential bidding war that could take place if the first round pick was up for grabs.
Right.
We've seen past first round picks go for more than what's been suggested here. Granted, those were from farther back or whatnot, but I think that this is not enough compensation for the Titans to really move the needle, especially when they're obviously as committed to Cam Ward as they seem to be, and
Right.
Cam Ward is as committed as to the Titans as he seems to be.
Yeah.
So, my pick would definitely be
Um,
Cam Ward out of those.
Yeah, Jacob, we talk about the first round here, but if I'm the Giants, I'm never listening to this. If I'm the Giants, and I'm
Well,
conducting,
that's if you're the Giants. The actual Giants would probably do that.
I think it's asinine for 2, just to go up 2 spots. I would hate that as a Giants fan. I really would.
Yeah, I would too, but that's a realistic trade value.
It's a lot. This second
Did you
this
not
year, second
see
this year, and first round next year for 2
the-
spots? It's
Look at the
Stuff.
trade the Eagles did to get Carson Wentz. Look at the trade that they did to trade up and take Carson Wentz, because that is that's like 10 years ago at this point, and the trade value is even more.
I hear you, but anyways. So Cam Ward with the 1-1.
Yeah, Cam Ward.
Yes.
All right. So
And again,
1-2.
You have the whole thing about, even if, let's say, we agree that the value was worth, you still have the thing about this is a guy, this is a quarterback that you like, this is a quarterback that you think is worth that pick, and because of the positional value there, it's just something that you just can't turn your nose up to. You know what I mean? You just have to make the selection.
I'll be very brief here in the 1-2. And it's kind of tough for me to make this more competitive for you guys. But I think it's what makes the most sense for this pick, and I'll just be very short with this one. Hunter or Abdul Carter?
Abdul Carter.
I've got no doubt in my mind that Abdul Carter, first entering the NFL, would be a better player, but I am interested in a lot of what Cleveland needs, and what they need really badly is another weapon for whoever's going to be throwing the football. Not sure who at this point, but somebody. Could be somebody in the next draft class as well next year. But they also need a corner opposite Denzel Ward. PFS lists both receiver and corner as a big need for them as well. And I think the pairing between Garrett and Carter would be really awesome to watch and electric. But I think that a player like Travis Hunter, who is a one-of-one type player, even if you're not that high on him, there's nobody really like him that's done what he's done at the collegiate level, and he seems to at least want to continue that at the NFL level. And I think a team like Cleveland will value that quite a bit. So I would actually select Travis Hunter second overall.
Okay, so now I've heard everything that you have to say. So I need Jacob to tell me why Abdul Carter, and then I'll make a decision.
I'm much lower on Travis Hunter in general, so if we're taking best player available, it's Abdul Carter by a mile for me. Positional value is a lot more important for edge than it is receiver and corner, especially when I don't even think he's overly amazing as a receiver. I think he's good. He has a lot of potential and talent, but I don't have him as my top 2 or 3 receivers in this draft. I think he's going to be a corner at the next level. Yes, it's unique that he plays both ways here, but I doubt that he does that to an important amount of time in the NFL. Maybe he gets 50 snaps in the entire season on offense, and on those 50 snaps, how much value is he going to provide
50 snaps is really low. I'll tell you that right now. That's a really low number for offensive snaps for Hunter. I'd be shocked if he only got 50 snaps in his rookie season.
Probably gonna be a little bit more than 50, but I hear your point.
I would argue at
And
least. I would argue doubled
at least
because
100, right?
Okay.
snaps is not looks or targets or anything like that. It's just you're on the field taking that snap.
I know what a snap is.
No, I know. I'm just clarifying for everybody, not just you. But that's my point. Like, only 50 is not a lot. Because if you think about how many snaps are in a single game offensively, you could get between 50 and 80 snaps depending on how long you're out on offense. And I don't know, let's say he gets, over a span of 10 games, only 5 offensive snaps. That seems like very, very little to me.
I just don't see it. Because in my argument for this is, do you want a guy who's going to be an elite edge rusher most likely, or do you want a guy who's pretty good at receiver, pretty good at cornerback?
Pretty good is a big stretch with the corner, in my opinion.
Okay, do you want an elite cornerback who's pretty good at receiver, or do you want an elite edge rusher?
I think Cleveland would really value that. I think it addresses two positions of need, and he could end up being an elite receiver as well. And this could be just an anomaly type player. Like I said, he's a one of one type of talent. Nobody's really done this thing before. And even again, I'm not crazy high on Hunter either. I think he's gonna be a good player, and I think he's been fantastic. But uh, it's something that I think Cleveland is going to value, and something that when I'm looking at their roster construction and everything like that, something that I think is a really, really important uh, pick to make here. Again, it's not an indictment on Carter, because Carter is probably my number one player in the entire class. But
See, if he's self-admitting he's the number one player in the draft, and we all know edge is more valuable than both receiver and corner,
receiver
and
and corner
we know,
combined, right? You know what I mean?
yeah, but how much of
And
that are you really
they
getting?
already have a Miles Garrett. And again, we can talk best player available versus position of need and whatever all we want all day. We can talk circles around that, because there are going to be certain instances where we do best player available. There are going to be certain instances where we do positional value. But yeah, that's my argument for Hunter. I can't really say much more without repeating myself.
So, so even if he hits 100 snaps on offense, which is, I don't see him getting much more than that. That's going to be 6 snaps per game on offense, and
That's
those
hardly
6 snaps
any.
per game on. Yeah, you think he's going to get a lot more than that? You
I'm
think
not
his
no.
cardio is going to hold up? You
I'm
think he's
not
not going to
saying
get injured for doing
I'm not
that?
saying he's going to play 30 or 40 snaps, but I still think 6 is really low. I think it could easily be in the 10 to 15 range. And in some games, in certain instances, against certain defenses, it could be up to 20. Genuinely, yes. 100%.
And then how long until he gets injured doing that?
I don't know. We'll have to see. He didn't get injured this year.
College is way different than the
I understand
NFL.
it's way different, but I can't predict an injury when we're doing this exercise. That's not fair
You
to the
can't predict.
players. That's
You can't predict him to be stable when he's playing two
I
positions
I can
on
predict
both
him to be
sides of the
stable when
ball.
he's been stable already. And yes, it was in college, but he was stable in college. That's my point. There's no injury history, so why would I predict an injury? That doesn't make any sense. It's flawed logic.
I can't
You're
justify
just
taking him over
And
Abdul
that's fine.
Carter.
You're just not high on Travis Hunter. That's perfectly okay. But to act like my
It's not
logic
about
is
being high on
flawed.
Travis
No,
Hunter.
that's exactly what it is for you. Yes, absolutely. That's the whole point of this thing. You're not as high on Travis Hunter. That's more than okay. That's the entire point of this. You prefer Abdul Carter, and you prefer him for the Browns. That's the whole point.
I think if Travis Hunter goes to the Browns, that's one of the worst possible landing spots, and he probably flops.
Okay, that's fine. So now we leave it up to Barufi as the decider here. He's heard both of our arguments.
Yeah, I'll go Hunter as well. I do have Carter high on my board, but I do think that he adds more to that team than Carter would. I think Carter's a phenomenal player. Um, but when it comes to, okay, what do we need? I think Hunter is more of a safe pick because, again, and he's probably going to play a bigger receiver role than we think in that team because they don't have a lot of receivers. They need weapons, like bad, right? And as much as I like Abdul Carter, their questions when it comes to his injury, and that's also another point. So I'll go with Hunter, a player that I think I'm higher on than the two of you, and I think that would be a phenomenal pick for Cleveland, I think.
Mhm.
So now, let me just pull this tab up. Okay, so now the New York Giants have a decision to make. They just got a
Saints
call
trade
from.
up and take Carter, best player available. Come on, make it happen.
It's not the Saints, okay? It's your rivals, the Carolina Panthers, that are
Ooh.
The
calling the
Saints are looking
Giants.
to trade up. What are we doing here?
So,
The Saints
okay,
have literally active reports that they're wanting to trade
buddy.
up and that
Hey,
they're
listen,
targeting edge.
Vitor, I'm not the one arguing with you about your segment here, so I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm being a good boy.
He's gonna be like, hear me out. The Panthers are gonna make a trade. They're not gonna lose any picks. They're gonna give 3, get 3, and it's only gonna cost them like a first round pick next year.
All right, let's hear this. Let's hear this potential trade.
I'll do it like this. So, Carolina Panthers just called the Giants. The Giants have two options: either they draft Carter, or they take this trade. And here's the trade: the Giants send the third overall pick and the 499, right?
Okay.
So the 99th overall pick, right? And they get the 8th overall, the 57th, their first next year, and their 4th next year.
If I'm the Giants, I'm sticking and picking, because
Yeah, this is great value for Carolina.
this. Yes, but if I'm the Giants, I'm definitely sticking and picking. Not purely based on the value, but because it's Abdul Carter that's available. I think they're more than happy with either Carter or Hunter, whoever falls to them. Yeah, and I think him opposite Brian Burns, who can sometimes needs a complimentary piece, and you've obviously got Dexter Lawrence up the middle, who did suffer through an injury last season. And then you can cut your losses with Thibodeau because he hasn't really panned out.
That's a great point. I was actually just about to mention that. They have a fantastic D line brewing, and they have that missing link, and Thibodeau doesn't feel like that's the missing part in that D line. So if they upgrade there, they can really build a phenomenal D line over there. So everyone going Carter here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So Abdul Carter. And now the Patriots, they have a guy in Vrabel, and Vrabel loves running the football. He loves a good offensive line, and that's exactly what the Patriots need. They have a quarterback that I believe in, that unfortunately plays in my division. That I'm a big Drake May guy, but he needs help up front. Okay. So here are your options, right? You can either go Will Campbell or Amar Mambo.
Oh, wow. Okay, so both linemen. Interesting. See, because I thought when you brought up the liking to run the football, I thought the two picks were going to be like a Will Campbell or an Ashton Jeanty.
But then
I
you
think that
got to
would be
consider which one fits the style more, because they need both. They really need
Well,
both.
sure, but I think personally this is a bit of a redundancy here, and I would prefer to get two different positions. You know what I mean?
So per request, we're gonna do.
I like
Will
how he
Campbell.
was just saying that he wasn't arguing with the game operator about the game.
I'll
It's
accept.
It's just a suggestion. If he
I'll
doesn't have to go with it,
I'll
he doesn't want
accept.
it.
I'll accept the suggestion. So the suggestion here is I'm gonna change it, but not to Will Campbell. It's going to be Armand Mambo and Ashton Jeanty.
Okay. Who's their
Jeanty.
current right tackle? Patriots depth chart.
You got it there?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. Morgan Moses, current right tackle. The current left tackle is Vidarian Lowe. That's really brutal. Mike Onwenu, right guard. Garrett Bradbury, which they just got in free agency at center. That is a really, really tough O-line in general for the Patriots, especially at both of the tackle spots. So I think that Vrabel being a trenches kind of guy, and having that type of mindset, and you could see it with the Titans and the picks on the defensive line that he's made in the past there.
Yeah.
I really think that the goal will be, and again, we talked about it just before we did this about the running back class in general, and maybe being able to land nail a really great running back in the second or even third round of this class, and you get a guy like Membu up there. I'm going to take Membu, if those were the options.
Okay, Jacob.
Well, Jacob's away from his mic, so he's in
He agrees?
agreement. Yes. All
He's
right.
in agreement.
Cool.
Okay. I tried to make it a little bit more interesting with Mambo because I think if I said Campbell, you guys would have just taken Campbell. I think Campbell is the pick that the Patriots have been associated with for a while now.
Yeah.
And I think they need a left tackle more than a right tackle because the left side is weaker than the right side, and
Sure.
Drake May is right-handed, right? So I think giving you guys Mambo would have made it a little bit more interesting, and it was. You got it generated some conversation. So here for the Jaguars, I have the player that they have again always been associated with, Mason Graham,
Okay.
and the other player is Tyler Warren.
Interesting. Because they did cut what's his face, right?
They got rid of Ingram.
Yeah, I'm not misremembering that. Okay, so that means Brenton Strange is their number one tight end. Okay.
And how do you feel about that?
That is a little bit of a wild card option there.
Tyler
I'm
Warren's
glad
spot, right?
that you brought
and
it
we're
up.
and we're talking about Liam Cohen. If you look at Liam
Yeah.
Cohen and his the teams he's been through, the tight ends have always been a big part of that offense.
Yeah,
And-
I could see Brenton Strange being a very similar Kadon.
Yeah, sure. And I also think that valuing a solid blocking talent at tight end as well is really good. And Tyler Warren's really a jack of all trades type of player. Former quarterback. and
Knowing
everything. He's
Liam
really
Cohen
shown
and how he
out
loves knowing how he loves his passing game, he might even go Loveland at this pick, right? Like imagine that in draft day.
That would be if
Loveland,
they
fifth overall.
if they wanted just a pure receiver at tight end. You know what I mean? Whereas with Warren, you get
But,
you get blocking upside as well.
No, I prefer Warren. Don't get me wrong. But if Liam Cohen prefers that passing ability, or receiving ability, I mean, he might go Loveland,
Yeah.
which
So-
would be a surprise in the fifth overall.
This will be a little bit boring because even though it was an interesting thing to think about, but I'm gonna stick with Mason Graham here, and my other prediction on top of this is that I think that Trevon Walker will get traded, maybe even
Wow.
on draft night or maybe on day 2, something
Really?
of that. Yeah, I think so. I think that's gonna happen. It could even maybe not even be on draft night, and it's during OTAs or right before mandatory minicamp. Sometime
Right.
this offseason, I think Trevon Walker is going to get traded. He just had a pretty good year, so like the value's up. But then again, the other team that trades for him is going to have to pay him at the same time. So interesting.
I
little
still can't believe
nugget.
that he went above Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, that's
He's
one of
been
those.
great.
Like,
He's been great. Listen, he's been really good. I don't know.
he quietly had like a breakout year last year. He was pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's
No,
better
I know
now
that
than it was.
he's
in
not
the
bad.
preseason.
He's not bad by any means, but it was just one of those things that didn't make sense to me. It was
It didn't make
like
sense at the time, but it definitely makes more sense now, especially with the Hutchinson injuries. They're
Sure.
stacking up. So.
Yeah, but there was no injury history for Hutchinson out
Right.
of college, was there?
I don't think
No, I
so.
know, but
None
I'm
serious at least.
absolutely-
So it's more of like a
Yeah.
hindsight thing. But
I know.
oh
Yeah.
well. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I'm Mason Graham here.
Mason
he's
Graham.
definitely he's the better player. He's more valuable position too.
Okay. So
Tyler Warren, Brock Bowers. Let's kill
Michael
two of
Mayer.
fantasy's best tight ends.
it's interesting because Warren would allow Bowers to do more of what he likes to do, right? But I don't think you pick a player in 6 overall just to enable your player more.
and there's just
Like,
no
you
way
can-
you go back to back tight end. There's just no way. They already
right.
did it.
It's
They
enticing.
already-
It's
yeah.
entertaining, right? But
Yeah.
like you know.
God, I love this thing.
So the Cowboys, they like Ashton Genty a lot, and the Raiders like Ashton Genty a lot.
Every NFL team should really.
Yeah, but for once, the Cowboys organization is like, okay, let's be aggressive in the draft, and they want a guy in Genty.
It would be the funniest
So-
thing in the world, by the way. It would be the funniest fucking thing in the world if the Cowboys finally decided to be aggressive in a draft and they traded up for a running back.
It was Omarion Hampton.
Oh my god. Like that would be hilarious, man. To lose out on draft capital when your roster is really thinning out and you're not sure what's gonna happen moving forward, just to draft a running back. That would make my day. Oh. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I think this makes more sense for the Cowboys than this. Yeah, I'll go like this. So
I agree. I
the
think multiple
Cowboys,
day twos is good there.
I think this makes sense for both.
Yeah, because the draft pick value drops off a ton from 5 to 6.
Exactly. So the
I
Raiders
would even
are
say, I would say instead of the 68, either round 3 next year or 108.
like this.
Yeah, either that or round 3 next year.
But they're sending that. I think this is probably better. I think this makes more sense. I'll stick with this so that they get more in return and they actually
That's cool. Yeah.
feel a little happier about it. So I'll keep it like this. So the Raiders have two options. Either they go Ashton Janty, and I'm just writing this down because I'm keeping everything here. Either they go Janty, or they take this trade with the Cowboys. And the trade is, the Raiders sent 6 overall in the 68, okay? And they get back the Dallas first round, so exchange those picks. Their second this year, the 44, 149, what is this, 5th round, right? And then next year, they get their second and their third.
I'm thinking about who is in charge of the Raiders right now, and it is that Tom Brady posse, if you will. And I think that they would be jumping all over something like this if it landed on their table. You know, just
I agree.
acquiring a wealth of day two selections here, and then getting another one that's fairly early in this draft class, which this draft class is loaded in the second and third round. So I think Tom
Brady would be
Brady
like, "Can you throw in that 27 6th round pick?"
something. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think they would be jumping all over this trade. So I think this will be the first trade that we do in this mock.
Okay. Are we happy with that?
Yeah, we're in agreement on that for sure.
All right. So we're going to accept this trade, and they don't care. Okay, fuck you. And so then the Cowboys go Ashton Genty, like as we had agreed, right?
Well,
Gentry
what would be the alternative pick?
Well, if we want to give it an alternative pick, then let's give it Tim McMillan then.
I would select GNT over McMillan. I think they'd be more interested in other receivers. So yeah, GNT.
Jacob?
Yeah, no, definitely Janty.
Cool. The New York Jets at 1-7.
Shadeur Sanders.
I don't think they're going to be interested.
No, Sanders
Wow,
is
guys.
fallen a while.
I don't think they're going to be interested. But I think they will be interested.
Guys, listen to this
Did they
headline.
need-
Listen to this headline by MLB.com.
I'm listening.
Not all leadoff home runs are the same, but this one by Shohei Ohtani will make you shout.
Oh my God, glazing Otani is like a drug for them. They just need a new hit every couple.
It's a
hours.
rage bait, dude. This is a genuine thing I'm believing right now. MLB Twitter is rage baiting people by glazing the fuck out of Shohei Ohtani, so that way everyone just bitches about it and they get replies.
That's hilarious, and honestly, like I don't know, I don't really know that that's the case, but it in a way I would kind of respect it if that were the case, because you're generating popularity around, you know, people are talking baseball again and stuff like that. Might actually be a route to go to make baseball more popular again. Just have everybody shitting on, make a team a villain, you know.
Yeah. Turn the MLB logo to Dodger blue.
Oh my God, dude. The pandemonium.
That would cause. All right, the Jets are on the clock.
They are on the clock, and their options are Will Campbell or Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren.
They're taking Yeah.
Most
Wait,
definitely.
what?
Tyler Warren.
Okay.
They don't.
Okay,
I
but do you agree or disagree, Jacob? Because I have to hear.
let me take a look at their O
Because
line because I'm pretty.
they've got Olu Fashanu at left tackle. That's who's going to be starting for them at left tackle. I want to look at guard though as well. John Simpson,
John
Elijah Vera
Simpson and
Tucker.
Elijah Vera Tucker.
I definitely think it would be Warren here. You know, they wanted Brock Bowers last season, and did
They
the
did.
Raiders jump them, or did they just not pick him?
No, the Raiders just
The-
picked him.
Okay, yeah. So
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I think they were in on Bowers for a while. So they definitely view tight end as a need, and I don't know. That pick makes a lot of sense. I think it's going to be one of the first teams that are really going to be interested in a guy like Warren. So that would
Okay.
be what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Jacob?
I'm gonna disagree with Anthony again here. I think Will Campbell is gonna be the better pick here. He's a higher overall prospect on my big board for me. He's actually my number 4 prospect right now.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Super high for me as well.
Not as high for
I
me.
think Will Campbell. I think Will Campbell is the. I think he has the best tape as far as college alignment in the
Really?
draft. His reach is yes. I think that he has everything it takes to play tackle. I think he might struggle a little bit if he switched interior. To be honest, I think the power might get to him a little bit more, and he has enough speed to play tackle. This team, the Jets O line, has been bad regardless of the names on it, and I think that taking a more safe tackle pick here would be the the wise idea. Now, is Armand Membu still on the board?
No,
we
Mambo
took
got
him
off the
4th
board.
overall.
That's
It
right.
would have
Okay.
been my option here.
Well, yeah. If
Yeah.
Membu was available, I would take Membu as well. But they don't need a
Yeah.
left side, in my opinion, at all. And also,
But they could
I'm not as high on Will Campbell as the consensus, and as you guys are evidently. So that's another thing for me as well.
Yeah, I would take him and I would try him at right tackle, and then if that
Ooh.
doesn't work, move him to right guard.
Ooh.
I mean, if anything, you can move Vera Tucker to right guard.
Well, he's currently listed at
Yeah.
right guard.
Yeah, exactly. So.
I would hate picking Will Campbell and then moving him. I think that would be such a mistake.
Well, there has to be an evaluation that the Jets have. And we're
Sure.
assuming that the Jets made an evaluation in the draft process, and they were like, okay, this guy can actually play right tackle as well. Hypothesizing
Yeah,
here, right?
this isn't who the Jets would take though. They took fucking Olu Fashanu. So give me who's the Ohio State tackle Josh Simmons who's really raw. Give them that because that's
He's not
exactly
that
who they'll
raw.
fucking take.
He's not that raw. His issue is the
Yeah,
injury
if
right
if
now.
we're talking raw, then we're looking at like
Calvin Banks,
Banks or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
who also has
Then
the
yeah,
injury
give
thing.
him
Banks is
give him
definition
yeah.
of
So does
raw.
Olu Fashanu. So yeah, give him Kelvin Banks. They'll do the exact same thing.
Okay, but then they
With
learned
fashion.
their lesson, right? They want a more sure thing. They have to solidify that O line.
So
How
take
about
Will
that?
Campbell.
So okay, so we have Will Campbell and we have a guy
So
from Oregon.
don't take another left tackle because you just took one last year's class. I get it's Will Campbell and everything, but you can't just
Either
be
that or
redundant.
trade down and take Gray Zabel.
Well, we're not trade down is not an option. It's either Will Campbell or Tyler
Yep.
Warren. I think
Yep.
Then it's Will
Don't-
Campbell.
don't be redundant at this position. Your guy, the guy that I imagine that they have highest because it's a right tackle, Membu is off the board. Go to another position of need that you also think has a great player and potentially best player available on your board. You have a history of wanting to pursue a tight end but failing to do so as well. So take Tyler Warren here. You have another opportunity right at your feet.
I tell you, it's super hard for me because I really do hear Anthony's arguments and I hear Jacob's arguments. It's hard. I think this is the hardest decision for me so far in this mock that we're doing. But at the end of the day, I'm a trenches guy, and when in doubt, I go with trenches. I'm gonna go Will Campbell in this one.
So where is Will Campbell playing?
So
your
in
opinion?
this proposition, I'm assuming that it's either one of two. Either they're putting Vera Tucker at right guard and putting Campbell at left guard, and they switch fashion to left guard and Campbell at left tackle. I don't know, or they had a workout with Campbell, and they were like, okay, listen, this guy can actually play right tackle. Let's make him our right tackle. And if that doesn't work out, then maybe
My only
back to
hang
left
up with
guard.
that latter argument is that nobody has suggested that at all about
No,
Campbell.
I know.
Nobody that's
It's
come
purely
out, no
hypothetical. No,
scouts,
no,
no
no.
reports. You know what I mean? So
I
like
know.
that is a very bold thing to assume. Is my
I know.
problem
It's
with
purely
that.
hypothetical, but even then, I'm very happy with just taking my left guard here. I don't care if it's 7 overall. I'm still finishing that O line. Put up Vera Tucker at right guard and Fashion at left tackle. They're building up the O line, and plus, it's depth, and you need depth at that position. So, I like the pick.
All right. I mean, I was outnumbered ultimately.
So we go Will Campbell here, and for the Panthers, I have been seeing a lot of people like the pick of Ted McMillan for the Panthers because of the compliment with Young, for the fact that they need a weapon for Young as well. So I'm going to suggest you guys McMillan. I'm not sure your thoughts on the fit, but I will give you McMillan, and I'm going to give you Jalen Walker as well.
My pick here would be Ted McMillan. I think the offense needs another receiver, absolutely, especially with how like very underwhelming Xavier Leggette's season was last year, and this is a good complement to
Hey,
this.
his accent though.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the reason he's still on the team. He's so endearing. But this is a good complement to this offense as well. And another comp that I've heard and that I also kind of like as well for McMillan is like a Mike Evans type of player as well. And where did Dave Canales just coach before head coach of the Panthers?
Yep.
He was the
Yep.
offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers, and I think that this is a player that he might feel that fills that spot for him in an ideal offense. And again, Bryce Young's your guy at this point. You just have to give him every opportunity to continue to blossom as your starter, as your franchise quarterback. So McMillan makes a lot of sense here. As far as Jalen Walker's concerned, I think that they have probably other edge rushers higher on their board. So I would be avoiding Jalen Walker if I was the Panthers.
Jacob?
Yeah, Ted McMillan has to be the pick here. He's a lot higher on my board. Jalen Walker is also kind of a tweener guy, and he needs to go to a team that actually has good defensive coaching that can make it work, like a Minnesota Vikings. I mean, we've seen tweener guys not necessarily pan out, like Kenneth Murray, for example. They're typically not good enough in coverage, but then they don't develop their pass rushing skills and they don't end up developing enough as an edge. So I think he needs to go to a team that has much better defensive coaching.
And that's the tricky part too, right?
Sorry.
Because the the Panthers need a lot of defensive help, but it just feels like the vibe at 8 is offense. Unless it's like a Michael Williams type.
Yeah, and I would hate the Michael Williams pick too. Although I do discredit the Panthers defense. I don't think that because Ejiro Evero is their defensive coordinator now, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I do like him as a DC. I just don't know if he's the right fit for a Jalen Walker.
And yeah, that's totally fair as well.
This
And Evero's been
very-
there for a couple of years, I think, at this point. So he's kind of like for the players that are there already, he's kind of like building this unit. And I definitely think they would be cashing in on day 2 with that unit.
So Ted?
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Shudder Sanders, Shudder Sanders.
I'm going to give you
Dude, there are some Saints fans on Riz's Twitter that are blowing him up saying, please, God, give us Shudder.
That's
for souls,
that's
huh?
purely because of the Derek Carr going down 100%. Now it's like, oh my God, I can't live with Rattler being my quarterback again. Oh my God.
People
Please
don't
don't do
realize
it.
that Derek Carr is just as bad as Rattler, dude. There's
No,
very,
did you see
very
his week
little.
1 and week 2 last year? You're gonna call him as bad? I can't
True.
believe it.
True.
Don't you remember
Mr.
Don't you remember him on
88
the
points.
Raiders in 2016? Oh my gosh, you're calling that guy bad?
Dude, the Saints were winning the World Series last year for 2 weeks. What can I say?
Yeah, the World Series. Okay, so
Right?
Sanders and
Super.
who else? Who's the other pick?
Warren.
Tyler Warren. Well, if it's between
Give me
those,
Warren.
if it's between those two, yeah, if it's between those two, it's definitely Warren. I just don't. My whole thing, and I won't talk about this very
Wait,
long, is that I just don't see Warren being selected by the Saints, even though Jacob wants it so much.
PFF has Leonard above Jackson Dart.
They have Miro. They have a lot of guys above Dart.
But Riley Leonard is like a UDFA candidate.
He's a 6th or 7th round pick probably. I mean, he could go undrafted, I guess, but yeah, it's gonna be Warren here between those two.
Yeah.
I really think
Give me Walter Nolan. If Walter Nolan's available, I want Nolan.
you can't have him. It's not allowed.
It's
Illegal.
not allowed.
Not allowed.
He needs to be on the board for the Niners.
Yes. He needs to be on the board for the Niners just so they don't take him and take somebody else that I don't like.
Walter Nolan and Brian Bruzzi with Chase Young.
And Isaiah
Chase Young,
Foskey.
yeah, my
Yeah.
God, totally mid.
Wow.
And Peyton Turner.
I can't.
no, I think he's not a Saint anymore.
I don't think so either. Isn't he a Chief now?
Peyton Turner is a Cowboy.
Oh. Close enough. It was one
He
of the
signed with them
bandwagon
this
teams.
offseason. Yeah.
All right, so
He's
we have a
mid.
interesting one here for the Bears at 110. Okay, Marion Hampton, which to me makes a lot of sense, or trade with the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay,
I'll just right out the gate. I don't see the Bears trading down. I just don't.
You don't see the Bears trading down?
No, I think they stick and pick whoever's the highest on their board left.
Not even for like something like this. No.
It would need to be that's a pretty obscene package. That's a pretty obscene package.
I'm exaggerating.
A lot less value.
It's gonna be for something like this. Yeah, something like this.
I don't know. I still think they would stay put.
Hear me out.
I'm still going to give you the proposal.
The Saints trade up. They give the Bears Trevor Penning. And the Bears give them a first this year and a first next year.
And with that pick, you'd select Shedeur Sanders since you forgot to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got it. No, that's the Jalen Milroe pick.
Yeah,
okay, I'll still propose because I think the Bengals are a trade up candidate. Because they're not, maybe in their eyes, they're not far away from being a top team again, right? And they won maybe a top edge rusher in the class that might not be available at 17. So to me, I think the Bengals are a trade-up candidate.
The Bengals taking defense in the first round.
Yeah, I apologize for you in thinking of it.
Impossible.
Okay, but the proposal here in place is Bears giving 10 and 72, and getting 17, right? I'm swapping those picks. 49, they're second. So the Bengals second this year, and the Bengals second next year.
It's not a bad trade by value standards at all. It's just I really don't think the Chicago Bears are interested in trading back.
So you would rather just stick and pick Hampton?
I would, yes.
Jacob?
Yeah, I'm on the train of sticking and picking here as well.
Okay. So now, yours truly.
Don't be mean to
49ers.
me. Don't be mean to me.
I'm just crafting it real quick.
You're Minecrafting
and
it?
I'm Minecrafting it. Walter Nolan
Okay.
or Josh Simmons?
Well,
Is there a discussion?
He's my defensive tackle 1 in this class. I think he's he's definitely an elite player in this class, in my opinion, and I think he's a future Pro Bowl / All-Pro caliber player, and a desperate need for this team. It's their most desperate need, defensive tackle. So Walter Nolan all day, baby. Get him in the orange, red and gold. Still, I was baseball brain for a second there.
Yeah. No, it's Walter Nolan. It's gotta be.
Okay.
I would be
I thought it
so
was an
I
interesting.
would be so elated. I like Josh Simmons. If that was the pick, I'm not upset. But
And
I
he
would be
visited and he visited the Niners
yeah,
today.
Walter Nolan as well got a top 30 visit. But
Yeah.
I would be so elated on draft night if Walter Nolan was my pick. I just think of how many times, how many first round picks that they've whiffed on, and especially at the defensive line position. The only one that's really hit was Nick Bosa. Now DeForest Buckner was a hit, but he's gone. Eric Armstead was a hit, but he's gone. But you also have like Solomon Thomas and Javon Kinlaw. So it's like a very, very rough bunch, and they desperately need a hit there. And I think Nolan would be that hit.
Remember the time when the Niners had 7 first-round picks in their front 7?
Yeah, crazy stuff. Crazy.
Dude, how did Solomon Thomas not pan out? That guy has like the goated, like the aura maxing name of a lifetime.
So now we are the 112. The Raiders did trade down, right? They gave up Genty. They missed out on Omari and Hampton. So now they're not thinking running back. They thinking, you know what, we have plenty of picks available. I don't see them here, but they're gonna have plenty of picks available. Yep. See, according to the trade in the day two for running back later on. Plenty of needs in that team. So now they're thinking on the defensive side. So now here they're thinking on Will Johnson and Kenneth Grant,
Oh wow.
Michigan Dogs.
This is a bit early for both picks, honestly.
I think
See.
it's a range.
I feel like the Raiders are probably higher on Barron over Will Johnson. So that's where I thought you were going to go for a second there. And
I knew if I gave you Barron, you would say Barron.
yeah,
I gave you
okay,
Will Johnson to make it closer.
okay.
I mean, it's still Will Johnson. I mean,
It's a desperate need, but I think again we're thinking about. Well, at least I'm thinking about the current front office that they have right now, and I don't think Kenneth Grant has an injury history, whereas Will Johnson obviously has that big injury concern. So that makes it very tough. I just don't know. Again, you're thinking like, is this a little bit redundant? Because you traded for. Did they trade for Wilkins or did they just sign him?
no, they just signed him.
Okay.
They just signed him. He was a free
Regardless,
agent.
regardless, that's a big investment, right? You just extended Max Crosby, and now adding to that would be a plus, of course. But I just wonder about that redundancy, especially when again you just cut Jack Jones, which I don't know if I said that on last week's show or if we just talked about it off the show, but you just cut Jack Jones, so like now it really screams that they're going to be prioritizing corner at least on day one, maybe on their second round pick,
Yeah.
if it's like a Revel or something like that. So I'm still going to lean Will Johnson despite all the issues I laid out.
Same page. It's Johnson.
Will Johnson it is. So on the last of our teams on the board, it's gonna be the Miami Dolphins with the 113. And I'll tell you, man, it's gonna be really hard for them to not get a good player that's gonna help them because they have a lot of holes, which just bears the question: in what way are they gonna fuck up? Okay, I'm kidding. Chop Robinson was a very phenomenal pick last year. And here I am going to go Jade Barron, and it's really hard. Like I would say a Josh Simmons,
I think that
but
those two picks make a lot of sense.
I think Simmons make a lot of sense. But yeah, I'll stick with Josh Simmons here. But no, I think it's completely fine. I was gonna say something, but I think it's completely valid option.
So Barron versus Simmons, very
Yep.
interesting argument. Obviously, two things that they will be addressing, I imagine, or at least are very interested in addressing in day one and two. The other wrench in this is the recent Jalen Ramsey buzz and whether that could be smoke
Broke my
or if
heart.
that's actually going to happen in a trade. And
It
assuming
broke your heart.
Broke my heart.
assuming something like that does happen, I think they might even end up forcing a pick at 13 for corner, which obviously you don't want to see. But if the right guy's there, it's more than okay. So I would be leaning Barron just for that purpose. Now again, there's better depth at corner on day two, in that second round versus tackle, and Josh Simmons is definitely a pure left tackle. You know, you don't have any of the moving a guard concerns or anything like that. None of those
Okay.
question marks with Simmons, except for the injury. So that again, that pick makes a ton of sense as well. But I'd be picking Barron.
Yeah, I'm also leaning Barron here. He's probably best player available. I think so. I still have to finish up my board, but I would say that he's probably my best player available at the moment. And it's a position of need. It'll be super helpful, especially if you can trade Jalen Ramsey before the draft. Maybe get like a third round pick for him at best. Um, and then get Barron here to replace him, and then it'd be similar to when the Niners traded away Buckner and then took Kinlaw. Granted, that didn't work out, but
Yep.
No, it's a good
same
comparison.
mindset.
Okay. All right, well, moving on. And I would be happy with that pick if the Dolphins came out with Jade Barron. For the Colts, they've been heavily connected to tight end, right? So we're going to give them Loveland as one of the options. And then Jihad Campbell.
So there's been a lot of recent buzz as well surrounding both Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland that they might both be going higher than a lot of people expect. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And again, they've been linked to Tyler Warren a lot. I can't imagine that any team picking tight end, unless you're looking for specifically a guy with blocking upside. If you're just looking to fill the tight end spot with a good player, I can't imagine that Warren and Loveland are that separated on a lot of teams' boards. So I would be leaning Colston Loveland with this pick.
I'm also leaning Loveland. It's the perfect fit for their position of need. He has more to his game than Tyler Warren does. Warren's
Mm-hmm.
still the better tight end, more valuable tight end, but I think that Loveland has more to his game that benefits the Colts as well, especially with their O-line not being as strong as it used
More
to
of a
be.
weapon to Richardson, perhaps, right?
Well, if you're concerned
Yes,
with the
and because
O-line
he's
issues, Loveland, like, you would probably just fade Loveland and go with a different position. Because Loveland's going to be like a receiver, basically. He doesn't have much blocking upside, certainly compared to a guy like Warren or even some of the players below him.
I'm still taking Loveland.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah. All right.
So now for the Falcons, and this is going to be two players from the same position, and it's going to be my.
Boo! Redundant! Redundant! Boo!
Listen, they are very different players in how they play, though.
Okay.
And
He's gonna say Michael Williams and Shamar Stewart.
it's not Shamar Stewart. No, they're quite similar. They're very different, these two players. It's Mike Green and Michael Williams. Michael Williams is probably my second favorite edge rusher in this class. It's probably my edge 2.
You're high on that guy.
I'm very high on Michael Williams. And Michael and Mike Green are the two options here.
Michael Williams, Georgia alum. They need an edge rusher. Boom.
Well, Marshall's not too far from Georgia, is it?
Well, we can look.
I
Marshall.
think it's in Carolina, right?
What does it say here?
Virginia.
Virginia. No, hometown. It's not Marshall. That's his hometown.
Marshall's in Carolina, isn't it?
I had it pulled up, but I forgot.
West Virginia.
Okay.
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
So, no.
Shit. Well, yeah, see, not that far.
No.
that far.
No. Too far. Georgia.
Too
Georgia. Atlanta. Boom. Yes.
Bingo. Take it. Done. Signed, sealed, delivered.
We're both saying Michael?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think also maybe, obviously Mike Green is going to work for certain teams, but I
You're
think.
gonna have some thunder in my audio, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. That's awesome. But also at the same time, I do think that for a lot of team boards as well, Michael Williams will feel like a little bit more of a complete edge rusher, mainly because of the size concerns. So,
I think it's wild that they have Scourton above Stewart.
yes, obviously Stewart I have higher, but I don't think it's that crazy, given the production.
For the Cardinals, two players that we have seen already here in these mentions, and we're gonna go
Luther
with
Burden.
We have not seen Luther Burden. Kenneth
Dude, if
Grant,
it was Cliff Kingsbury still there, it was Luther Burden.
I do like Luther Burden. Okay, but we'll get to him later.
And
He's
Cliff
gonna show up.
Kingsbury's
He's gonna show up.
game.
Yeah,
gonna show up.
next pick is going to show up.
Not the next pick.
Yeah.
That would be okay. We already talked about that. That would be ridiculous. That
Yeah.
would be ridiculous.
All right.
It'd be so funny though.
Kenneth Grant
I hope it
and
happens.
Jihad.
Okay. Interesting.
Kenneth Grant.
I think there's a fun little argument there, but they are so desperately in need of defensive line help, not to mention depth. Like there's nothing. So Kenneth Grant's got to be the pick.
Hey, there's not nothing. They got D-Rob.
Yeah, that's. I did forget because didn't he get hurt?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
hurt all last year, basically.
No,
But-
I will say you guys are both saying Grant, and I'm gonna go with Grant. I'm gonna grant your wish. But if I'm the Cardinals GM, I would personally go with Jihad. Me personally, because
Why?
they need a dog in that defense. They need a guy to command that defense. They don't. They have absolutely nobody.
Let's say for me, I'm just not as high on Jihad Campbell. I think he's my. Let's see here. keep going. I'll pull it up in a. Keep talking.
To me, Jihad is a top 5 defender in this draft. And he can be the face of a defense, and the Cardinals need that.
Yeah, Jihad's my linebacker 3. Jalen Walker and Carson Schweisinger I have higher.
I like Schwarzenegger a lot.
So
Been pretty vocal about that as well. But yeah, Jihad here for me. I would, but Grant's a phenomenal pick as well.
Luther Burden the third. Luther Burden
I'm
the
not
third.
I'm not gonna
Matthew
give you
Golden.
guys. I am not gonna give you guys.
Yeah. Matthew Golden, he's a little too big. Luther Burton fits it. He's shorter. He runs it in the inside slot.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Burnen's a pure slot. Golden can
Hey,
play
dude,
both.
I think you're being a little disrespectful to the Cardinals right now. They got Dalvin Tomlinson. They got Calais Campbell, bro. They got Josh Sweat. They got B.J. Ojolari, L.J. Collier, Zaven Collins.
I can't wait for that to be
Darius
part of a
Robinson.
thumbnail and not do any
Good
double
Lord.
entendre thing with it.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that a phenomenal pick with the Bengals would be Mike Green. So I'm going to give you Mike Green. And the other player is going to be Calvin Banks.
Ooh. I think they have had
Boo.
such
They already
bad
have Kelvin Banks and Orlando Brown Jr.
and on top of that, they've had such bad luck with tackle health. I don't think they can do it again. You know, the Amarius Mims pick, who injured, Trent Brown injured, Orlando Brown Jr. injured. They can't do it again with Calvin Banks Jr. They have to do something else. And obviously, you know,
Josh Simmons would be the pick here.
I mean, yeah, if they went O-line, I think it would have to be Simmons or maybe even a Donovan Jackson or a Tyler Booker if they wanted to go guard specifically.
I think Zabel as well would make a lot of sense. I've been
Yeah,
Dude, they
pretty
might be
vocal about Tyler
like,
Booker.
if they wanted to
guys,
go interior.
we fucked up with Jesse Bates. Let's take Malachi Starks.
I think that's a possibility. They could definitely use a safety and potentially take their favorite safety in the class up here. But between the two options here, I'll go Mike Green. I'm very low actually on Kelvin Banks. The more and more tape I watch of Kelvin Banks, the more concerned
I've been
I am.
lower on them as well,
On
yeah.
top of the injury.
Dude, imagine this draft class for the Bengals if they took Josh Simmons in the first round, they took Trey Harris in the second round, and then they got Xavier Watts in the third round. Cinema, make me an NFL GM.
They still take Trey Harris though. Oh, that would be hilarious.
It'd be so good.
That's literally T. Higgins. Is that the joke?
Yeah, try guarding 2 T. Higgins and a Jamar Chase. You can't do it.
Look. They will be scoring.
Because what's
50
going to end
a
up
game.
happening? Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to get a 6'2" corner on T. Higgins. You're going to get a 6'2" corner on Jamar Chase, and then they're going to be like, "Fuck, we're out of him." Put this 5'10" guy on Trey Harris.
That'd be pretty funny.
So Mike Green.
Yes, Mike Green.
Every time I do mocks, I hit a wall when I get to the Seahawks because I always go back and forth.
I really
Because
think
their
it's
depth chart is pretty good everywhere.
no. They
They
have glaring
surprisingly
holes. They have glaring holes. But the positions that they're good at, they're good at.
right.
Desperately need O line.
I think a guy like James Pierce makes sense for them, so I'm gonna give you James Pierce.
Another wrench in it, though, is interesting because of the DK Metcalf trade. Could they possibly just, take a reach and
Go like
select another Ole Miss alum here in Trey Harris, who's also a physical
Dude, hear me out. Hear me out.
receiver, a large frame?
Hear me out. What if they just took JSN, but from Missouri?
Oh, yeah, that could be. Or just pair him up with his teammate Emeka Egbuka, right? You know what I mean? You got 2 Ohio State slot receivers. Who's stopping that?
And then you have Jake. And then you have Jake Bobo to run outside routes.
Don't forget Marcus Valdez-Scantling on the deep
Oh,
stuff.
true. That's their X this year.
Yeah. But anyway, okay. So James Pierce Jr. and who?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you James Spears, and
I think
I'm
this
going
is
to be-
Donovan as a Donovan
Raku?
from Boston
As a Raku?
College. I think that's who they go with.
Well, I'm giving you James Spears, and you're gonna like it, okay? And Matthew Golden.
James Pierce Jr. I think.
And are you in accordance to Anthony?
Sir, yes, sir.
Sorry, yes.
Hey,
sir.
that's stolen value. You're supposed to use your left if you're not active military or ex-military.
Well, I was never military.
Yeah, exactly my point. So you should be using your left. Oh no, you are using your left, right? Is your camera
No,
inverted?
I'm using my right.
Oh, ooh. Shame.
Boo.
Anyway,
Okay, so now one of my dogs are gonna go off the board because I will be giving you Michael Williams and Jihad.
I actually
Wait,
think
Michael's already been taken. I'm tripping. Mike already went off the board.
Yeah.
So I'll give you Shamar Stewart. Similar players. I'll give you Shamar Stewart.
I really think Jihad Campbell makes a lot of sense for the Bucks. Levante David's not going to be playing forever, and they definitely they've been a
They like
defense
their
that uses
linebackers.
linebackers quite a bit.
They like their
And obviously
linebackers,
Devin
yeah.
White didn't pan out for them, and didn't pan out at all afterwards either. So, Jihad Campbell for me.
I agree. It's Jihad.
Phenomenal takes as always. Let's go.
We're banging, bro. Me and Anthony are cooking. Put us in a GM office, and we would have the best team in
Yeah.
football in 2 years.
No. 3.
Modest. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know me.
So at the 120, the Denver Broncos.
Indeed.
They like their defense over there, right?
But it's Sean Payton. And they could
Yeah, Sean
realistically use a running back, a receiver, and a tight end.
That's
Realistically.
exactly what I'm
They
thinking.
could use
I already-
a whole new offense.
I already have a
Keep Adam
receiver
Trautman.
down. Oh, look, Hampton. And I'm not gonna go Burden. It's not the guy I have. Anyways, I'll go with this. I think it's not too bad.
Hear me
Yeah.
out. They take Jerry Jeudy, but from Missouri.
No.
Now, you're gonna have Matthew Golden
Okay.
and your
Damn
guy, Anthony Caleb Johnson.
Matthew Golden. Caleb Johnson's not the best fit for Denver. They definitely want
Yeah,
somebody
they would
with,
much rather have Travion in the
with some
second.
more receiving upside. Yeah. Although again, love Caleb Johnson. Incredible vision and good power as well. Not the best speed, but he can move. He moves on the tape.
Yep.
But yeah, it's got to be Matthew Golden, I think. A really great compliment to a guy like Cortland Sutton, who they obviously really like. Amid all the trade rumors and stuff with Cortland Sutton, they stayed put and kept him around. So
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So I'm just writing down the next proposal. So yeah, we're gonna go Golden.
Matthew
And
Golden
here-
is just Brandon Cooks, but from Texas.
Yes, Brandon Cooks. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I like Golden a lot more.
Dude, Andy's going to Sean Payton, so he's just going to trade him in a year for a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Well, For
Maybe
at the same
traded
time,
again for another first round pick.
you say like Matthew Golden is a better Brandon Cooks. Also remember, like Brandon Cooks was a very, very, very good receiver for a
Oh yeah,
number of
no.
years. The amount of draft
Oh yeah.
capital that's been traded to acquire him from all the teams.
Or Brandon Cooks.
Don't get me wrong. I
And
like
now
Brandon
he's-
Cooks. I'm just super high on Golden. I love Golden.
And now he's back with the Saints, baby.
Is he really?
Yeah,
the
Brandon
Saints are
Cooks is a
traded-
Saint.
Oh yeah, okay.
Did not know that.
I thought.
Interesting.
He's also 500 yards away from hitting 10,000 yards in his career.
He'll get that.
Look at that.
He'll get that this
Yep.
year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So here we're
With
gonna go.
Spencer
With,
Rattler throwing to him.
we're gonna go with Shador Sanders, and Josh Simmons.
For the Steelers.
Josh Simmons.
Yeah, for the Steelers.
I would go Simmons as well, for sure.
And then have the best injury-prone tackle duo to ever see this league.
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course, a really interesting discussion if a guy like Kenneth Grant is available at this pick, but obviously for us, he's off the board.
All right. Simmons it is.
Mhm.
And now the Chargers aren't a problem, right? They're always expecting tight end. In some mocks
It
at
could
this
still
point,
be
and
a
I
tight
don't
end.
think.
Yeah,
I don't-
and all the Michigan guys are gone. So what is he gonna do?
It could.
yeah, I don't think.
It could still be tight end. Let me just hear me out for a second. Again,
You're
now
gonna
the
talk about Mason
Harbaugh.
Taylor.
No, Harold Fannin Jr. The Harbaugh connection is obviously what works with Loveland, and they need a tight end. He's a great receiving talent for the tight end spot. You know who else, though, was a fantastic receiving tight end in college and might not be that far back on their board, and has also been getting some late round one rumors, is Harold Fannin Jr. So could really be the thing. We'll see. I would like that fit.
And Oregon State or no, sorry,
Bowling
no
Green.
mind, no mind. Yeah, sorry, wrong orange school that sucks. Dude, hear me out. What if they took Jalen Reagor, but from Missouri?
Dude, that is not a comp. What are we doing? That is not a comp.
Shay. Oh, the new Debo, guys. Look, the new Debo.
Oh,
We finally have him.
they have Debo. That's really funny because I would say like Jalen Royals is more of a Debo Samuel than Luther Burden.
Jalen Royals is definitely the Debo Samuel of this draft. No, the reason why I say Jalen Reagor is because they're both guys who got a bunch of schemed end arounds, slants, and go routes in college. But Luther Burden is obviously a much better player. He's a much higher end talent.
Loveland, yeah.
He's
Yeah, and we've criticized the Missouri play calling at the very least at length before.
yes. Mm-hmm. So
Well, I have an
Quentin
interesting
Johnson from Missouri.
one here. I'm gonna go a different direction here because it's usually tight end for the
Cam
Chargers.
Scatabo.
Correct. I'm gonna go in a different direction here. They've been needing defensive line for a while now.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go with Derek Harmon and Ekbuka.
Okay. Well, he's not taking a Ohio State player.
And also,
Yeah,
it's
come on.
redundant.
You can
with,
never-
It's redundant with McConkey there already too.
I think they can play together.
I mean, Ekbuka's going to be exclusively a slot player, in my opinion. At least he should be. And that's the
Ekbuka
majority
is
of-
Justin Jefferson from Wish.
I think he can play the
these
boundary,
comps.
man. I mean,
You were really cooking with these comps, man. Wow. Now here's a guy. That's right. Yeah, between these two,
What is his comp on here?
They don't have one, I don't think. Didn't look like it.
Ah,
no, they didn't.
cringe.
They're not done with the receivers yet, I guess. But between these two, I guess it would be Derek Harmon. Although I'm not the biggest Derek Harmon guy. Much more upside as a
Well,
pass
funny
rusher.
enough, I think the best available D tackle is another Ohio State player. I'm big on Tyreek Williams
One of
or Darius Alexander.
do you guys know who Omar Kelly is? Dolphins reporter.
No.
Fat Alfred.
Correct. Yes, Fat Alfred. One of like his readers just asked him on Twitter, who are your top 3 favorite picks for the Dolphins at 13? And he said Will Johnson. I forgot one of the other. I
And then
forgot the other
Alfred
one.
Collins.
And then Alfred Collins. I like, dude, if the fucking Miami Dolphins pick Alfred Collins at 13, I might lose my shit.
I love Alfred Collins.
Dude,
Seriously.
that's
I love.
I
Alfred.
love Alfred Collins, but not at 13, bro. He's gonna be there
No, not
for
at
something,
yeah.
bro. Like,
That's right. Yes.
not at 13,
Not
bro.
at 13.
Not at 13, bro. I love Alfred Collins, but not at 13, bro.
Okay.
My
So
girlfriend
okay.
is
So who
calling me.
are
Derek Harmon and
Guys.
Emeka Egbuka. I'm going Derek Harmon.
Derek Harmon?
Again, a guy with more pass rush upside than run defense. And obviously, one thing that the Chargers have really struggled with is run defense for years and years and
Yep.
years now. So that concern maybe
exactly
still
what I
is
give
there, but if they're sure that they can develop something like that, it's nice to have a guy like Derek Harmon on the team.
All right. The Packers, just like the Seahawks, are a team that I'm always iffy on who to pick. But I think the way the board fell, I'm comfortable
Dude.
with giving these 2 players.
Another slot receiver.
Anthony?
You're not getting him. You're not getting
Jaden Reed from Missouri. Dontavion Wicks. from
Jalen Waddle from
bro.
Missouri.
God.
You're not getting him. You're not getting him.
They don't
I'm gonna
need him
give you
either.
Ezra here. No.
He's like the worst pick there.
Actually,
Don't
I'm
take
gonna
another
give you
slot
Jalen
receiver,
Walker.
It'd be
Green Bay,
this-
please.
Anthony, it'd be the Spider-Man meme of
Yeah. Yeah, it literally. And it's so funny. Earlier today on Twitter, I saw this guy who was like, why are they even considering? Because apparently their top 30 visits.
I saw that.
Yeah. Bro, every receiver on their team is a slot. Almost every single one. Not all of them. Almost every single one of their receivers on their team is a slot guy. And Dontavian Wicks had 9 drops last season. What are we doing? He's got drop problems. He can't catch a ball.
Yeah, but he's way better than the 6th-round pick that he was taken of. As I said, he would be
Sure.
pre-draft before the season.
Sure.
So I'm gonna suck my own dick on that
But
one.
also 9
Uh,
drops.
Whoa!
Also 9 drops, though.
Christian Watson is their only outside receiver. He hasn't had a healthy hamstring since he was born.
Since he was born. Since he was born.
That's
He
crazy.
came out of his mother's womb with a pulled muscle.
Oh God. Bro. Before he even had kneecaps, he was having hamstring problems.
All right. Let's hear
For
what
the
we got for
Packers.
the Packers. Yeah.
I have Jalen Walker and Trey Amos.
Trey Amos. Oh, actually, no. Packers. Trey Amos.
I think Walker fits the type of defender that they like.
I think they both fit because you
I
have
think they both fit.
you've got the buzz around Jair Alexander as well, and they could just use
he's
another.
mid. Take Trey Amos.
You could just use another corner too, but I kind of dig, Jalen Walker here, and it's a little bit akin to the like Quay Walker pick that they made a couple years ago. Who was he was also
he's
a Georgia
Rashawn
linebacker.
Gary type of guy as well.
Well,
It reminds me of Rashawn in a way.
I think they're pretty different. But
Off the edge, I mean, not when he plays.
sure,
Off ball,
yeah, no, I get you. Yeah, I kind of dig that for Green Bay. I would lean Jalen Walker there, but I love Trey Amos as well.
You said Amos?
Yeah,
Jacob?
I say Amos because Jair's mid, and they constantly lose games based off.
You
bad
want to
corner
talk
play.
about most overrated player? Jair Alexander. Bam. I've been saying it for years.
He's been, right? He's been, yeah. I will go Walker here.
I don't
though.
know. Sauce Gardner gets talked about like he's the best corner in the NFL when he wasn't even the best corner on his team.
Dude,
the last 2 years.
I talk
was the
about
rookie
Sauce
year, though.
Gardner.
And I think a lot of people just have that. They still have the old thing in their head. But the problem with Jair Alexander is that even at his peak, I still didn't think he was that great. And every time you watch him play, he's getting burnt. like every single time. I don't think he's ever had like a good rep on tape. It's insane the amount of glazing and like
Dude, him and Kevin
revisionist
King
history.
Jr. were a dynamic duo.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So, but Jalen Walker still for me.
Yeah, I'll go John Walker as well. The thing with Gardner though is, you guys know I'm a very biased Dolphins
Dude.
fan, but I can be unbiased, right? And when I talk about Gardner, it's not because I'm a Dolphins fan. He grabs a lot and he gets away with it a lot. Like it has to be addressed, bro. You know.
Yeah. He has NBA favoritism. All right, do the Vikings take Lewis Seen from Georgia?
Hold on. You, sir, are gonna sit there and you're gonna listen to me talk.
Yeah.
Didn't he actually play at Georgia too?
I think so
You'd have to
actually.
tell me, sir.
It was definitely an SEC school. Yeah, Georgia, UGA.
Dude, Lewis Seen from Georgia?
Ooh, this is interesting.
Well, let's hear it.
Malachi Starks or Shamar Stewart?
Malachi Starks
Yeah.
fills a need,
I
but
think-
it's probably their best in the class.
I hear you. I'd probably go Starks as well. I just think that's probably a great place for Stewart to develop, and he needs to develop.
Yeah, they also need to bail on Lewis Seen because he's not good.
I think he's already off the team, right? I don't think he's on the Vikings anymore.
My opera's acting up, so you would have to research that.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure they already bailed. Let's see. Let's look at their depth chart right now.
I think I can see it here.
I don't-
I mean, they have Van Ginkel,
I
right?
don't see
They
him
have
on the
Van Ginkel.
roster.
Yeah, they have Van Ginkel and Turner. So no, Stewart wouldn't be an immediate starter, but that's such a good place for him to develop.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
mean,
but
you got
Malachi
aging
Starks
Harrison
is gonna be a
Smith.
dog.
yeah, it's got to be Starks.
No, I'm not. I think Starks is a
Dude,
phenomenal player.
speaking of Viking safeties that out are falling off, but fell off a while ago. Anthony Harrison, as soon as he left Minnesota, was dog shit. That guy went to the Eagles and then became horrible at football.
Yeah, so Lewis Seen played for the Bills last year. He only played in one game.
Ah, shit. He might have been better than Khair Elam.
Yeah, maybe. Holy shit, man. That was one of the worst cornerback performances I have ever seen on primetime television. That
Dude,
was
the Bills might trade up to a top 5 pick just to take Jedi Barron.
well, I think that they're definitely going to be taking a corner here, and we'll see what Barufi has them at the options. But I think they would love a particular guy at the end of the first. But Texans.
Well, we'll get there, but for now, yes, for now we're in Houston, and I'm gonna give you Jalen Waddle from Missouri, okay, and Greg Zabel.
Now, as far as receivers, I think that they would probably have Egbuka higher because of the Ohio State camaraderie with him and Stroud. But,
Okay.
yeah, so in that case, I think I would lean Zabel here because they definitely need an interior offensive lineman, and he's arguably the best in class at that spot, depending on where you're grading Will Campbell. And most people have him at tackle, as do I, at least grading-wise. So, yeah, I'd go Zabel here.
Yeah, I'm also leaning Sable.
Okay. Would be the best.
And it's probably purely
decision for me,
because you did Luther Burden over Egbuka. If you had done Egbuka, I think I'd probably lean Egbuka for that pick.
Okay.
Agreed. I think Igbuka's a good fit for them.
It's a good fit, and then the connection too.
So for the Rams, I'm gonna give you Amos and my dog, because he's my dog, Schwarzinger.
Guys, does Providence have a football team?
I could not tell you.
Damn it.
Now, I would say the Rams would absolutely love if a Jalen Walker was still available here and not taken a couple picks ago. But um, linebacker is a desperate thing for them, and I think that that's going to be something that they're very smartly address in this draft. And Schweisinger is definitely the best left on the board here, so that would be my pick.
Who was the other option?
Amos or Schlesinger?
Schwarzenegger. They don't really need a corner that bad.
I wouldn't say in the
I
first
just went
round.
off of yeah, I just went off of a combination of need and best players available, and then purely need.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Schlesinger would be the best. I'm a big Schlesinger guy. Just highlight it, and now it's the Ravens. So the Ravens, I'm gonna go with another guy that I've been banging the table for, and that's Booker. Okay, so yeah, Tyler Booker and Emma Mori.
Interesting.
Safety is like one of their last needs.
I think when I look at him play, though, I feel like it's such a Ravens guy, though, and it's
No,
not like they have a
they
bunch
have-
of needs.
I think Eman Worry.
They have Marcus Williams and what are we doing here?
They don't have Marcus Williams anymore. But
Son of a bitch.
even with their secondary, and I think they definitely still could
Malachi.
use another
Look.
secondary piece. And Nick Emenwari type might be exactly what they need. But I think that they're looking at how other teams have dominated in the NFL, and they're wondering why they just can't get the job done at the end of the day. And a large part of that is the trenches play. So I think they would, again, they did it with Linderbaum a couple years ago, and I think they do it again here with Tyler Booker, just taking a really strong, really solid interior offensive lineman.
That's gonna
Does
be
Andrew Voorhees making his debut this year change that?
No,
Because remember, he was drafted last year knowing full well that he wouldn't play in his
Right.
first season.
I don't think so. Now I like Voorhees, and it's unfortunate that he got injured that way. But the thing to keep in mind with that one is that he wasn't a first round pick. Like, did they get him at the end of the third or early fourth or something like that? Like, they
It
didn't.
was like fifth because
oh.
he was injured right before the draft.
Yeah, he definitely fell. I don't remember how much he fell, but my point is like a fifth round pick. If that was where he went, a fifth round pick is not a lot of investment. So if you really like a guy like Tyler Booker and he's available in the first round, you take him in the first round, and maybe if Andrew Voorhees works around it and can move to right guard or something, that would be my.
Fair
That
enough.
would be
I
my-
would like Shamar Stewart for them personally, but I'll lean because our options were Nick Emanwari and then
Booker.
oh yeah, Booker.
So you're going Booker as well?
Yeah.
I think it makes all the sense, really. And here I am going to go with Shamar Stewart and Calvin Banks.
Man, I think this is a Shamar Stewart spot, and I think it's a great spot because you're opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And one thing that we know about Shamar Stewart with his lack of production was that his other teammates on that defensive front were the guys that were eating a lot too. So I think in a way Hutchinson and Stewart can kind of complement each other. And one causes problems, the other one eats, and then the other one causes problems while the first one eats. That type of thing. So
I think
I would be in for Stewart.
I think Stewart's combination of doing both roles and stunts, is not something you often see.
He kind of is like a. Now that I'm thinking about it more, he kind of is like a little, like Aiden Hutchinson light, And his measurables are
he's a
really off the charts
facilitator.
too. Yeah.
Measurables are insane. He's insane stopping and run. He has. The more I talk about him, the more I have him closer to Michael. He's probably my edge 4, edge 3. Does both roles and stunts. Super smart. Attacks in multiple ways. It's literally only the production, and he was never asked to do that. Right in Texas, I think he's gonna explode once he gets to the NFL. Just has to be used.
Man,
correctly
imagine 2 Aiden Hutchinsons on one defensive line. That's scary.
Kind of.
Imagine Trayvon Walker opposite of Aiden Hutchinson.
That would
All
be
right, yeah,
fun.
no, out of these two picks, it's definitely Shamar Stewart. I look, if I'm the Lions GM, they've been aggressive ever since they got Dan Campbell. I'm taking Shamar Stewart. I'm trading up. I'm taking Tyleek Williams too, because that would make that D line sound. Have Tyleek Williams, Aiden Hutchinson. Who's the really good guy on the interior that they got really late a couple years ago? Come on, why am I blanking on this guy? He's really good. He was injured in the playoffs, and that's why they couldn't stop the run.
Well, Ali McNeil got injured.
McNeil, yes.
Yes,
McNeil.
yes.
But that was like
Lee
5
McNeil.
years
He was
ago
like
at this
what?
point.
No, it wasn't.
I'm pretty sure he's been
Last
around
year
for a
he
while.
got hurt. Last year he got hurt during the regular season. It wasn't during the.
Yeah, it was like week 10 or 11, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, then
2021?
he got injured again in his.
So he's been in the league for 4 years. He played in 14 games.
I said a few years ago, but yeah, he was like what, a 6th-round pick. He's been insane value for them. He was, and me and Riz were really high on him out of college too. But
third
imagine the
round,
D line with him.
72 overall.
Oh shit, he must have rose a lot. But imagine him, Tyleek Williams, Shamar Stewart, and Aiden Hutchinson. Cinema.
It's pretty good. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, Shamar Stewart, right?
He almost made the wrong pick twice.
No. I was looking at player cards. Shamar Stewart.
Okay.
So now for the Commanders.
Dude.
Trey Amos.
Now we get.
I don't have Amos. I have 2 players. Then they're not Trey Amos.
Another corner, surely.
There's no way it's going to be...
What?
It can't be Scotabo, right?
I don't have corner. I have Izaraku.
Luther Burden, right?
Donovan Ezraku and Quinjon Judkins.
And Henderson.
Oh, okay.
Bro, this is the perfect pick for Luther Burden here.
No, this is the perfect Trey Amos pick. They need a corner so bad, and he's a good corner. He probably shouldn't be on the board still. Like, this is a perfect landing spot. Especially for what Dan Quinn wants to do on defense. Like, that screams Trey Amos to me. But okay, Donovan Ezraku and
Henderson.
and
Henderson or Ezraku?
We'll go Ezraku then.
It's got to be Ezraku. Yeah. That's a horrible 2 picks. Those aren't even the top 2 picks.
I think Ezraku's.
I got to be with Jacob here.
Wonderful.
Maybe we'll start a mutiny because we're at the end of this or something. Because
That
one was rough. They need a corner so bad. How is one of the options not one of the corners available?
Listen, maybe they got a corner later in the rounds. Like, look at the edge rushers available. Like,
Luther Burden's a perfect scheme fit for
running
Cliff Kingsbury.
thin. There are a ton of day 2 edge rushers that are good. We just talked about how good the edge class is.
I know, but there's also plenty of corners. Like, it's not the end of the world, guys. It's not the end of the world.
Those top corners are not going to be available at the end of the 2nd round. Once these corners
Bills
go,
are taking Tyleek Williams.
There's not much left.
I hear you, but listen, there's gonna be questionable picks. You know, that just is how it goes. Izaraku was a phenomenal pick, guys. Trust me. For the Buffalo
He's probably
Bills,
going before that. Tyleek Williams
I have Tyleek Williams and
Luther Burden.
Amos.
You're a bastard. You're a real bastard. You know that?
And look, for the record, I have all the picks written down already. I had Amos down before you guys even said anything.
This is really good though because, well, number one, I think Luther Burden would be fantastic for the Bills. Just as a quick aside.
Yes, he would.
But I will say, it's a great thing. You know, Tyleek Williams. Great for that interior. But Trey Amos, out of the remaining good corners, probably the best run defending corner out there. And their run defense is obviously really bad, and of course they need a corner too.
Exactly
so I like both of those. When is there? Do they just straight up pick at their normal pick in round 2, or do they pick earlier?
Yeah, when's their next 2nd rounder? Because this does matter.
I think it does.
56 and then 62.
Okay, so same. Okay.
See, what they could do here is they should have got fucking DJ Reed in free agency. Like how cheap he went, they should have just been on
Could
that
have said that for a lot of
because they could have
teams.
had this. Yeah. Um, they could take Tyreek Williams here because there are still 5 corners who I think are going to be upper echelon NFL corners. Can you go back to that, Rufy, that list? Because I just want to start like saying how outrageous this day 2 is for cornerback. You got Trey Amos, who probably goes at the end of round 1, but then you also have Benjamin Morrison, who I have below these next couple guys, but still really good. You have Maxwell Hairston, who's a combine freak. Siobhan Raval is going to be a dog, and then Azare Thomas. If Florida State wasn't horrible, he would have been a first-round pick this year.
Bryce Hall.
And Kobe Bryant out of KU, he's pretty solid too.
He's very solid. All right, let's hear it.
That's my favorite. That's my reason for favoring Tyreek Williams, because I don't think there's a run stuffing D lineman as good as Tyreek Williams that's going to be available at 56. I think that there should be a corner available, and if they see a run on them, they can trade up because they have 2 second-rounders.
Well, you could argue
Okay.
Alfred Collins even for this spot. Another guy who probably isn't
could
going to be
definitely-
available late round 2 as well, who's also a fantastic run defender. Either of those guys I'd
True.
be happy with. So, yeah, I
It's
would.
just that Tyreek rushes the passer a little bit more.
Sure.
Right? And still need that a little bit, right?
No, yeah.
Right.
But I get your point.
So yeah, I'm in agreement with Jacob here, and I definitely think if this were the way it went, the Bills might be serious trade up candidates in round 2 to try and go acquire one of
Forward
those
corner.
corners.
Yep.
Yeah, whoever
And
they
the
have
way
higher
the
on
way
their
the board
boards.
is set up as well, yeah, for sure. So the
Or
Chiefs.
maybe they just go get Jalen Ramsey.
Swear to God, that would. Oh my God. Oh, that would. Why didn't I even
The
think
Dolphins
of
are.
that? Oh my
Dude,
God.
the Dolphins
dog.
would be like, here's an in-division discount, bro.
I,
give you a
I
fourth.
swear that would really bother me.
That's the pick. You just clicked on it. That's the pick. Kansas City
Yeah,
Chiefs are
so
up. Pick 31.
it's Calvin Banks. Hold on, it's Calvin Banks, and the other pick was Darius Alexander.
Dude,
Calvin
Xavier
Banks.
Worthy from Missouri.
Calvin Banks, Jacob.
Yeah, Kelvin Banks.
Okay, and to finish
It,
this beautiful draft off, we have Jalen Waddle from Missouri and Trey Amos, 2 favorites here at the segment.
Holy fuck! And imagine okay, because Amos really shouldn't be here. Imagine back-to-back drafts where the Eagles get Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean long after they
And
should have been
Trey
on the board,
Amos.
and then Trey Amos the next year, long after he should have been that's
well,
insane.
Luther Burden also shouldn't be available right here.
There's a really strong argument for that, but also I think just based on the receiver class, there's a lot of good, not greats, and as far as Luther Burden's concerned, because of he needs to specifically play this thing, at least in my opinion. It's probably the case for a lot of NFL teams as well, so that makes more sense, I would say, for sure.
He's gonna fall a little bit because of that, I think.
Yeah, and I think to that,
I think people are missing his upside a little bit.
I absolutely
'Cause-
agree. I love Luther Burden. I'm a big Luther Burden fan, but I just think
Because we talk about Walter Nolan as like, oh, former top recruit. He shows extreme potential and flashes of greatness. That is exactly what Luther Burden is as well. I don't think you guys understand. He was like the number 3 overall player in his recruiting class.
I'm with you. I love Luther Burden. Here's that sneak peek. Oh fuck, my screen's not sharing.
Luther Burden's also a cunt because he committed to Oklahoma and then decommitted to go to Missouri because he got paid more by Missouri. So he can lick my nuts. But he's going to be an amazing NFL player.
Spoiler alert: Luther Burden's my receiver too in this class. So I'm a big fan as well. But I think Trey.
You're really low on tap, bro.
I am, because we'll talk about it another time. I don't want to spend too much time harping on it, but yeah, the pick for me would be Trey Amos.
Okay. Jacob?
See, I think you're just stacking a position that you don't. No matter who they take, they're stacking a position they don't need. But I think a receiver 3 is more valuable than a slot or than a corner 3, especially because Cooper DeJean is already your slot, and then Quinyon Mitchell is already your outside guy.
Well,
I
you
don't
did
think
Well,
just
it's
Amos
lose.
really-
wouldn't.
You did.
Amos wouldn't play slot. Is my
Yeah, he would play the boundary. You just lost Slay.
yeah
He would be a starter.
yeah.
Who else is on their cornerback room right now?
It would be Amos. Let's see.
You would.
Right, but I'm saying without Amos, who is it right now?
Eagles.
Ringo. It's Ringo, Ricks, and Woods. Like they could definitely improve in the boundary.
Oh, no. Fuck that. Take Burden.
I mean, but like, really, like, what are you arguing? Like, Keely Ringo hasn't panned out yet, at the very least. Probably won't. Oh, Lewis Seen, he's on this team now. Eli Ricks.
Ricks, bro.
Another one though, right?
Top recruit.
But
Give me another one. Luther Burden, come on.
Murphy, it's got to be Amos.
I
It's gotta
agree
be
with
Luther
you.
Burden.
No,
For
I
no
agree
shot
with
you
you.
guys are valuing cornerback 2 over...
Receiver
That's
3.
bullshit.
Over receiver 3, yeah, I am. I value me personally. I've been pretty vocal about that already. I value corner 1 over wide receiver 1. I'm going to value corner 2 over wide receiver 3. Like, come on.
No, because corner 2 is technically speaking corner 3, because slot is more valuable than corner 2.
Okay, yeah, but I'm talking about the boundary. They need a boundary guy, so.
They already have a boundary guy. That is exactly what they're going to get out of
Well,
Quinion.
usually you dress or you have 2 boundary corners. On
Yeah,
the field for
yeah,
every
you
snap.
have right. Yeah, you have the yeah.
So that'd be a pretty important thing, you know. And again,
Y'all
to be clear,
are
they
pissing me
must
off.
they must love somebody that will be there at 32 in order to cut Slay like that. They have to. They just have to. That's my 2 cents.
Or maybe they just are on the fever dream of Keely Ringo and Quinion Mitchell.
Yeah, maybe that's
Coop.
maybe that's actually what it is. You might be right. Never mind. That was a massive oversight
Dude,
by me.
How could they pass up on Devonta Smith from Missouri?
That doesn't even make any sense.
None of these have made sense. That's the point.
Okay,
None
but
of
that's the
them.
worst one. That's the
That's the worst one.
Yes, that's the worst
Not
one.
the Xavier Worthy from Missouri.
Rager.
Oh, I didn't hear that
Jalen
one.
Rager?
Yeah, that's the worst
Rager
one. I didn't hear that one. I didn't hear the Worthy one. Yeah, the Worthy one is horrible.
No, it's the Jalen
No,
Rager one.
the Jalen
though.
Rager one is even funnier because it's a Philly, bro.
Oh
you're
my
right.
god. But, all right, that was fun. Interesting.
I
twist
thought that
on
was
it.
fun, and I actually think this mock looks pretty decent.
It's not bad, you know.
Gosh.
We definitely we got a little heated at the very beginning, but that's because we're so passionate about football. We love football.
Football.
And it was I had fun at least with that argument. So
Who is biggest winner of the draft? I'm saying Omarion Hampton.
Players.
No,
Who's the
it doesn't have to be
biggest
a
winner?
player. It can be team or player.
I think Malachi Starks is definitely a winner.
if it fell this way, I'm like, realistically, like Detroit would be such a
Shamar
big winner
Stewart.
again.
Shamar Stewart and the Lions are huge winners
And they've done it
Calvin
for years
Banks.
now. But
as well.
Calvin Banks is a winner. I,
think
don't know
you're-
about the Chiefs.
Okay. I think the Raiders had a
Colston
great trade
Loveland.
down. And yeah, Colston Loveland.
The 49ers.
I think the Raiders trading down and landing Will Johnson
Oh,
probably
yeah.
the winners
Yeah,
for
the
me.
49ers.
That was our only trade completed, right? We didn't do
No,
another trade after
no.
that. Did we even get another trade?
No, we had other proposals, but that was the only one that was completed.
Oh, the last proposal was Chicago and Cincy.
Michigan in general, big winners. 4 picks in the top 16.
Yeah, the Jim Harbaugh effect.
Okay, what was the
Oh,
worst pick?
The NFL league is an entire winner in general because Shadur Sanders didn't go in the top 32.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, but he's gonna go. I'm expecting him to go.
The worst pick. That's a tough one.
I think
arguably Tet at 8, or actually no, I wouldn't say Tet. I would say arguably Tyler Warren at 9, Cam Ward at 1,
no.
Matthew Golden at 20.
What?
Because I'm
I
not
love
high
Golden.
on Golden, guys.
I love Golden. I think Sims at 21.
You know what? That one kind of jumps out.
It
at me,
had
too.
that had to be Sanders.
I
man.
really like Simmons. I really like.
I love
Simmons.
Simmons.
What
I
the
love
fuck
Simmons.
My
You're seriously arguing Shedeur in the first
I'm
round?
not.
If there's a guy, I'm not arguing for it. I think he's gonna go, and I'm just saying if there's a guy that can handle Shador, that it's gonna be Mike Tomlin.
No, I completely disagree. Mike Tomlin
I
lets all
heavily
those.
disagree.
Mike Tomlin lets all the divas walk all over him. He's not a guy who
That is
contains
true.
people. He
That is
he
true.
throughout his entire coaching career, and this is why I've consistently called him overrated as a head coach. His entire coaching career, he has coached a team of individuals, not an actual team. It's never been cohesive.
And that's why he can't win in the playoffs.
That's why he hasn't in 15 years. Yeah. But yeah,
Let's be real. The best guy for Shedeur Sanders is Andy Reid. That isn't going to happen because he's in Kansas City. But if it was anywhere else, like Shedeur Sanders' best situation, let's theorize. His best situation is probably the Raiders.
It's probably the Raiders, yeah.
He wants to go to LV. He's been talking about LV the whole offseason, or the whole season, basically. Pete Carroll would be a good coach to keep him in check. He could learn behind Geno for a few years, and then they could trade Geno at the end of his career, and he would be able to take over.
that's the problem though, because Shador doesn't need to sit, and I don't even really think should sit. Quite frankly,
I think his thing is he needs experience maybe to adjust to NFL speed.
I definitely think he needs more reps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
I
other
don't know, it's
issue that
hard.
I have with that is that, like, Pete Carroll's not a
You mean the
bridge. Pete Carroll's not a bridge coach. That's why, like, Cleveland in like early second, or even if they traded back into the first round, late first, is really intriguing because like they're probably gonna suck again, and like Kevin Stefanski gets canned, and then like Dion becomes the next head coach of the Browns. You know what I mean? Like,
And then they have
and then
Travis
they
and
have-
Shedeur.
yeah, like that becomes the new Colorado. You know?
And that becomes my that wouldn't make sense because Dion just got like a massive extension from Colorado, like a big money extension.
Doesn't mean anything. We still had talks about him potentially becoming a head coach either this offseason or next, regardless of that.
Yeah, but that was before.
Do you guys
Also-
think that Shedeur
did you
makes
guys
sense
see
for the
that-
Rams?
Did you guys see that Shedeur and Travis Hunter both got their jerseys retired?
I did.
Yeah, I saw that.
I like Jackson Dart for LA more than Shador.
No, I agree on that, but I'm thinking of where Shedeur could make sense. He might be a Saint, Jacob. I'm sorry to tell you.
He really might be.
No, you don't got to be sorry to me. I won't be a Saints fan.
Even if they took him second round, if he was available.
Don't care.
Okay.
I will not support a Shedeur Sanders team. I hate that guy. He is easily my least favorite player in football.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right.
I hate
Hear me
him
out.
more than I hate
Hypothetically,
Dennis
Hear
Allen
me
as
out.
a
Hear
head
me out.
coach.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Atlanta Falcons
Okay.
at 15. Michael Penix versus Shador Sanders versus Kirk Cousins.
I would go to Atlanta and protest. I would join the fans in protesting.
Dude, and then they do a Kirk Cousins thing and they take like Will Howard in the 4th round.
Oh my god.
And then
That would be the funniest fucking thing ever.
I'll tell you though. Small change of subject.
Okay.
I think this is the most I've been excited for the draft. Not
That's an
as
exciting
in
draft.
like who are the Dolphins going to pick? Because years before it was always like, oh, I'm excited to see what the Dolphins are going to pick. And yes, I'm excited to see what the Dolphins are going to pick. But this is
it's hard to
probably
get
the year-
excited for the Saints.
But this is the year where I think I've been the most excited for the actual draft because it can go in so many
This
different
one,
directions.
and I feel like we say this every year, so maybe this is just, part of the hype thing. But this year feels like there's a lot more teams can do a lot of different things, and it would not shock anybody. Whereas in previous years, a
Yes.
lot of the certain picks and certain fits were already figured out, and you kind of
By
had an idea.
like 10 picks in,
Yeah.
10 picks in, it was like kind of already figured out.
And part of it
but now
part of
it's-
it is definitely the quarterback thing. If you know where the quarterbacks are going to land, or at least a rough general idea, then a lot of other stuff falls in place. But now with this one, we only have Cam Ward being selected in the first round, and that's a very real possibility that that's the case. Then the rest of it is super wide open, especially those teams at the top.
Like imagine
that have several
Suddenly
needs.
the Browns go Abdul Carter at 2, and then imagine the Giants trade down from 3 if someone wants to jump up and get Travis Hunter. Like all mock drafts in then the world just go to shit right there,
Exactly.
So
Also, fun fact or interesting fact about this draft is it's the first draft in my time being a fan of the NFL that all 32 picks are with their original owner.
What? Oh,
what
you
do you
mean
mean?
going in?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, I get you. Interesting.
Mm,
Interesting.
yeah, that's
I didn't think
interesting.
of
Yeah.
that. Didn't think about it
Me
before
neither.
that.
yeah.
Huh. Cool. All right. Well,
Because like
Wait,
whenever I first became a fan, you had the Raiders with 3 first-round picks, and then
yeah,
in 2020 it was the fuck who had 3 first-round picks in
it
2020,
was the
or was it
fucking
just
Dolphins. It was the fucking
was there a team
Dolphins.
with 3?
good glory.
You had
And
three
but
firsts in
I don't know if there's
2020.
another.
We had three firsts in 2019, 2020. 2020, we had three first round picks.
Because 2019 was the Raiders 3 first.
No, sorry, 2019 we had three. 2019 was the year we got Tua, Austin Jackson, and Benogany. We had three picks
Oh,
in
No,
that's
that's
2019.
right.
2020.
That's right.
That's 2020.
Yeah, 2020. I
2019
totally
or
forgot
2020?
Noah
And then
Igbenogany was a pick in the late first.
Dude, we could have had. I'll keep Tua just because Tua looked like the higher prospect at the time, and I don't complain about the pick. Tua, we could have had Justin Jefferson and Jonathan Taylor, bro. Like that is fucking unbelievable to me, bro. And those were the obvious picks at the time too.
and then 2021, you have the crazy quarterback class and all the trade ups with
Yep.
Mac Jones going to the Niners at pick 3.
Yeah, that's right.
So
That
yeah, I
maneuver
mean,
with the Dolphins did from 3 to 12 to 6. That was so all over the place.
dude, that maneuver that the Saints did in 2022, where they traded up for Chris Olave and then they traded up for Trevor Penning. Ooh,
The double trade up. You gotta love it. You gotta love it.
God, it's
Okay.
almost like we didn't have a ton of holes for.
Since we're talking about trade ups, who are the most likely teams to trade up around? Let's say
Oh, I forgot to say the Jets also had 3 first-round picks in
Yes.
2022: Jermaine
yes,
Johnson, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson.
yep.
In 2023, did
They
we have
traded
anybody with
up
three
into the
first-round
first
picks?
round for Jermaine Johnson. They initially had
Yes,
2.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in 2023, we didn't have 3 first-round picks, but we had a lot of trade activity. We had the CJ Stroud, and then Will Anderson was traded up, like the Texas traded up for Will Anderson. The Cardinals traded down and then traded back up, which was crazy to see at the draft live. That shit was cool as fuck. So
The first overall pick.
this, yeah, I know the Panthers taking Bryce Young and making my birthday special. It was beautiful,
So yeah,
but
what teams are more likely to trade up? Let's say from this 6 to 20 range to
based on
like
rumors, Saints right
upper.
now are really likely to trade up.
Actually, I was going to say, if we're going based off of rumors, apparently the 49ers are heavily interested in trading into the top 6 somewhere. Now, I don't know exactly who that would be for. Maybe they have Mason Graham higher on their board than Walter Nolan, or maybe Abdul Carter might fall because of that injury, and that's who they're targeting. But that's something to look into, I think. Or I mean, Will Campbell as well, I guess, right?
I don't like the idea of trading up and targeting a guy whose draft stock is falling, regardless of how good. Like, I guess this is like a different circumstance because Abdul Carter is my number one player in the draft. But like, if in the event that the NFL circle has him falling, and then someone trades up to take a falling player, I don't necessarily
Well,
like that
I
because I
see
feel
it's
like
not
they
why.
really
might.
necessarily that he falls though. Like realistically, they could, I guess, trade up to third overall and take him if it's Cam Ward and then Travis Hunter and like that's not really falling to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. And then what if Shadur Sanders actually does go number 2?
Well, that's a
Then that
crazy
changed the whole
shakeup.
draft.
That means
Yeah, that
everything that
changes the
we've
whole
heard
draft.
since then has been complete total smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and that could very well be the case. Like, yeah. And then at
Also, people
3,
saying that he's the most accurate quarterback in the class just because he had the highest completion percentage is the laziest fucking draft take I've ever seen.
Well,
well, it's not saying much though, to be honest.
the problem is the oversimplification of accuracy, which I think is Jacob's point mostly.
Yeah,
Because a lot of it is anticipation slash timing. and ball placement. That's such a big part of
Which
accuracy.
is Jackson Dart's specialty.
It's also Cam Ward's specialty, at least ball placement.
He has some crazy throws on the run. That dude lives outside the pocket.
I like him a lot. I've said that plenty of times. I think he has the tools necessary to be a good NFL quarterback.
And even then, arguably his biggest asset for going into the NFL is having played in multiple college offenses, showing that he's versatile and
Cam
can
Ward,
adjust.
NFL comp, Baker Mayfield.
So we got to fire you, man. We can't allow you to keep doing this.
Dude, this one is gonna blow your mind. Okay, you ready?
No, I don't think I can. I don't think I can prepare myself.
Dude, hear me out. Jackson Dart, NFL comp, is Kyler Murray.
He scrambles like him.
I thought we were gonna go like a Josh Allen or something insane. So at least it wasn't that.
No, but Kyler Murray's
I just picked
funnier.
a really
Kyler
bad
Murray's
comp.
funnier.
Like, he's not Kyler at all.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray's funnier.
Dude.
All right.
A lot of Michigan guys, right? Dude. A lot of Michigan guys.
That's what I was saying, man.
All right. Well,
And that's pretty much it. We have 2 Penn State guys, Ole Miss, and just one. Yeah. 2 Alabama, right? 2 Texas. 3 Georgia.
Wait, real quick, before we sign off here, I want to say, have you guys noticed that Riz is just like throwing different quarterbacks at the Saints right now? He's like, because at first it was Jalen Milroe, and now he's like in love with the Jackson Dart fit. But it makes no sense because he was literally talking about how Jalen Milroe is the perfect fit for Kellen Moore because he's a Jalen Hurts level player. And then he was like, actually, no, Jackson Dart is the number 1 quarterback in the Saints offense, and he fits Kellen Moore the best. I'm just like...
I mean, maybe he had a change of opinions after something new.
More tape watching. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I trust
That's more than
Riz's
reasonable
judgment.
And I don't mind.
I really don't want a quarterback from this class.
And I don't mind Jackson Dart in a Kellen Moore offense. I think that's smart. It's a simple offense. It's easy to understand. I mean, Jalen Hurts could pick it up, so...
Yeah, but we're not going to be contending this year, so I kind of just want to take a quarterback who is a first-round pick.
Sure.
Well, your dude, I blanked out on his name. Dude, your fucking edge rusher, Cam Jordan definitely thinks you're a top 3 team in the NFL. So
Cam Jordan's a tool. Well, sorry, he's not a tool. He's just
he is a tool. Say it with your chest. He's a tool. Say it with your chest.
Cam Jordan needs to learn how to shut the fuck up sometimes. He's talking us into a bad spot, okay?
That's the CTE speaking. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But anyway.
He still thinks that he's
the
best edge rusher
And I
football.
told you that, Jacob, in a previous episode that we had, when I was like, Cam Jordan is a fool, and because of he tweeted, like, sorry fans for losing to Carolina. Like, bro, shut the fuck up. What do you mean sorry fans for losing to Carolina, bro?
No, you know what? Every player,
every
NFL player and coach and everything, every time they lose should apologize. I think that shows incredible humility from Cam Jordan.
No, he was like,
oh,
sorry fans for losing. Sorry for losing to the worst team in the league. Like, bro, he said something along those lines, right?
I'm glad
he
he apologized.
this team.
He should.
He was basically calling the Saints out for being a shit product and that they were better than that.
I mean, yeah.
But then
no, they weren't. Did you see that quarterback?
I want every player to do that when they lose. I'm so sorry. I'll be better next time. And if they're not better next time, they get their dick cut off. I don't know.
Yeah, real.
That'll motivate them.
Valid.
But.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, we have 3 Texas guys.
Ugh, fuck Texas.
No Oklahoma.
Do you fuck Texas?
It's okay because Danny Stutzman's going to end up being the best player out of this draft class.
He's a Dolphin, right?
He'd be good there. You guys need someone to stop the run from the second level.
Well, I like Brooks.
Eh. Hey, if the Saints got Danny Stutzman, Demario Davis, Danny Stutzman, and Pete Werner, that's a pretty solid three. Now, granted, you don't have anybody who can cover, but that's a pretty solid three for run defense.
Yep.
All right, are you ready to?
Right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Vitor, this is your episode, so let's hear your coastal call.
Well, here's the coastal call. I thought that was a very fun segment. I got one suggestion and one complaint, so I'll take that as an A. Not an A plus, maybe. I'll take it as an A.
You got a few complaints. Don't sell yourself short.
Listen, I thought it was a fun segment. Draft is around the corner. I can't wait. You guys can all wait. The listeners can all wait. This has been Coast to Coast. Very fun mock, obviously conducted by yours truly. And this has been Coast to Coast.
Thank you, everybody.